Oh, deeper. Oh, green screen screwed up. Hey, the Giants are screwing up. My green screen screwed up. Stand up, New York Giants fans. I'm sure you guys are still recovering from that game yesterday, like I was. Watched the game over because I wanted to torture myself again. Watch the game over. Watch some of the things that I look for that were good and bad. Like I try to do every game, tape the game, and obviously goes without saying. A very underwhelming performance yesterday by the New York Giants. I told you guys at the beginning of the year I'm going to be doing recaps of the game the day after. And today, being that our second game is so close, also talk a little bit about the Washington game coming up. Huge game now for the New York Giants. Now that we're off to a 0-1 start against the Denver Broncos, New York Giants now have lost 10 out of their last 11 opening games to start the year. Out of their last 11, their only win coming against the Cowboys, where the Terrence Williams play. Otherwise, would be 0 for 11 in our last 11 home openers. So it's more of the same for the Giants. We put ourselves in a tough spot, and we'll see if they can climb out of it. Obviously, going up against Washington, they'll be with Taylor Heineke, but it's still not going to be a very easy game. We know they got a good pass rush, and based off the way our defense looked week one, and the offense looked, it's definitely questionable about whether or not we could go into Washington and find a way to win that football game. But we're going to talk about some of the things in the game yesterday that I liked, and a lot of it that I didn't. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions from you guys as well. And we'll talk about the game yesterday, and we'll talk about the New York Giants going forward. What's going on there, Austin, man? What's going on there, Chicago Giants fan? What's going on there, Jesse? What's going on, amazing guy? Joseph Cupid in the chat. Luis in the chat, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Epson says, True Rapples, man. What's going on? You drank yourself to sleep last night. What's going on there, Joey G? What's going on there, Caden? What's going on there, King Zoe? Sean G in the house. Evan in the house. Brownie in the house. Yasir in the house. Moose in the house. Jack, what's going on, man? Matthew, what's going on? What's going on? Pack Rat. Arian, Lord, Tony B, what's going on? Jameson, thank you guys for being here, man. I appreciate all the support that you guys always show on the channel. And Word, man, thank you very much. He says coaching staff couldn't adjust, move on to the Washington football game. That is definitely a major thing in this game for me. I'm going to talk about the coaching staff in general. But going into the half, we made no adjustments whatsoever. You're absolutely right about that. And Pat Shurmur continued to carve us up on the defensive side of the football. The former offensive coordinator for the New York Giants called a great game. And I'm also going to tip my hat to Teddy Bridgewater. Our defense didn't play good. Don't get it twisted. We were getting beat. Every time we blitzed, they were picking it up. They had a number of open looks over the middle. Noah Fant, who I thought was a big X factor in this game, was wide open. They used him a lot. And they could have had even bigger plays. If you remember, Noah Fant was on the right sideline on one play where Bridgewater just missed him down the right sideline. And then KJ Hamler had a 50-yard touchdown catch right in his hands. That he dropped, where he completely destroyed Adoree Jackson. And on that play, when I watched it back, it looked like, I'm hoping, there was some kind of miscommunication between Adoree Jackson and the safety over the top. I think it was Logan Ryan, and Jackson thought he was going to get some help over the top, but it's possible he just got that destroyed. That's just the way that I saw it, but who knows? Either way, the defensive performance yesterday was atrocious. And we're going to get to the offense. I know a lot of people are going to want to talk about Daniel Jones and the offense and putting up as few points as we did. I'm going to start with the defense, because the defense is what we are going to rely on this year, if we're being honest with ourselves. That is what we hang our hat on. That is what we thought going into this game, knowing that the offense was going to be rusty, like Kenny Golladay said, knowing that none of these guys played in preseason, knowing we were going against an elite defense. We knew if the Giants had any chance in this game, the defense was going to have to show up and play football. And we knew we were going to have to establish the run. We couldn't establish the run to save our lives. Couldn't establish the run at all. The pass protection was good. I'll be the first to say it. The run blocking was some of the worst run blocking I've seen in years as a New York Giant fan, and that's saying a lot. There were no holes up the middle throughout this entire game. The run blocking was atrocious. And yeah, Saquon Barkley certainly didn't look like himself. By no means am I, saying that he's old Saquon. There was a play where I thought he could pop it to the outside, didn't do it, and it's probably going to take him 2 or 3 weeks to get back to himself. But the run blocking against the team that struggled against the run last year was abysmal, and the defense was a complete and utter disgrace. And the only way we were going to win this game is the defense was going to have to show up, and we were going to have to win the time of possession. Denver Broncos had a 9-minute drive, I think, on their second drive where they kicked a field goal. They had another, they possessed the ball for over an hour in real time and we're going to get into the decision by Jason Garrett to play conservative and the Giants playing not to lose. We're going to talk about all of it. But they had the ball basically for an hour straight in real time. And then when we gave them the ball back right before the half, they had the ball at midfield with 48 seconds left. And the defense not only let them score a field goal, They let Teddy Bridgewater score a touchdown. It was just an atrocious performance yesterday by the defense, and I'm just hoping it's growing pains, and they're going to improve off of this, because if the defense looks like that, we got no chance this year. We need the defense to look much, much, much better. Like I said, we're going to get into the rest of the team as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to want to talk about the offense. Word, man, thank you very much. Coach, yeah, I already read that, actually. Word, man, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And John Letourneau says, stand up, the entertainer. I know it's only one game for the Giants and the Eagles, but do you agree with Bad Dog that right now Hurts has the it factor over DJ? Here's what I'll say, man. I didn't watch his video yet. I saw it. I didn't have a chance to watch it yet. Hurts, I don't know how you could come to the conclusion that he has the it factor yet. That's just my honest opinion. He's played 5 games, and if you're going to say he has the it factor off a game against the Atlanta Falcons, who may have the worst defense in football, I'm just going to disagree with that. Now, I didn't get to watch his video. I don't know what his overall point was. As far as Daniel Jones goes, yeah, up until this point, I'd be lying to you if I told you he has the it factor. What I'll say about Daniel Jones' performance yesterday, and it's what you could say about Daniel Jones in a lot of his games, he wasn't the primary reason why we lost, but he didn't go above and beyond to make plays. You look at Teddy Bridgewater in that game, and of course, Jones made the horrible fumble, which was momentum shifting and was a huge thing, and that's been a major problem with him throughout his career in the NFL. He also should have thrown a pick in the red zone, which was a horrible decision. Outside of that, which is a way too common phrase with Daniel Jones, yeah, he didn't make many mistakes. He was pretty good. He made some good third down conversions. He threw some balls into tight windows. And yeah, he shows glimpses of being a pretty good quarterback from time to time and a guy with some upside. So I see what people see in him, but the guy still makes mistakes. But what I will say is the difference in the quarterbacks yesterday is when things broke down, when a play needed to be made, when the quarterback needed to elevate his team, one quarterback elevated the team, the other one didn't. You think back to some of the plays with Teddy Bridgewater. He had like 3 or 4 stiff arms in that game where he pushed off the defender and was able to make a miraculous play. One where he threw it across the field. He converted on a 4th and 7 at midfield. Teddy Bridgewater played his ass off yesterday. And the other thing I want to talk about is the coaching staffs. One team played to win. The other team played not to lose. That was the general feeling I got back after I watched that game. The Denver Broncos went for it on 4th down 3 times. They converted all 3 times, one of which was at midfield. They didn't play scared. They went out there. They trusted their quarterback. Now, a lot of that probably has to do with the offensive line, and we're going to get into Jason Garrett's decision backed up on his own red zone, but we'll talk about it throughout the stream. Anthony, Matt, thank you very much. Giants got defense, got punched in the mouth, time to respond. Listen, if our defense plays like that this year, we ain't winning very many games. There's no doubt about it. Our defense is going to have to be a top 10 defense this year for us to win games. We know that going in. The offense should get better. Should. You figure Barkley's going to get back close to, 100%, hopefully, as the year progresses. Golladay, I actually think Golladay looked good. And a lot of people are going to say, well, Golladay, he made it when it didn't matter. But the way I look at it is the catches that Golladay made, they were well contested. They were very good catches in tight traffic. So I was impressed with Golladay. I am actually disappointed that they didn't use Golladay more so earlier on in this game. It seemed like the New York Giants were looking to stretch the field a little bit more as the game was out of hand. I would like to see them be more aggressive. But like I said at the beginning of this game, if they weren't able to establish the run against Denver, they weren't going to win. And I think that was the biggest determining factor as to, at least offensively, why the New York Giants couldn't get anything going. The defense didn't help themselves out, though, and they were the biggest culprit in this game. They couldn't get off the field. They gave up, like I said, the Broncos were 3 for 3 on 4th down. I think they were 7 for 15 overall, but really 10 of 15 because they converted on 4th down, and some of those 3rd downs came later in the game when the game was out of reach. It was bad. It was a really bad defensive performance. Joey, man, thank you very much. Have to be honest, Joe Judge word me, man. I don't know, man. Listen, man, I love Joe Judge. I want to root for Joe Judge. But at the same time, Joe Judge, sometimes you can't be so one-sided that you can't give him criticism. And I've kind of been pretty consistent with that before the season started, where I say everybody likes to give him all the credit when they like a move and they give Dave Gettleman all the blame. That's not the way it works. If you think they're involved, you have to give them equal blame and credit. And the same thing can be said for his coaching from within the game. And yesterday, Joe Judge, let's be real. We talk about Jason Garrett, and I understand it. I'm watching the game just like you guys. I got to rewatch the game and get a better look at some of the play calling. And I'll be the first to say it's a very blah playbook. It's a lot of, curl routes and whatever. And maybe some of that has to do with the fact that he can't trust his offensive line. And maybe some of it has to do with the fact that he needs to, get a more in the now type of offensive mind. I understand why fans are frustrated with that. But by the same token, Joe Judge has a lot of say on the offense. And I think it has something to do with the offensive line, but Joe Judge is the head coach. And yeah, if you're going to give him praise for everything, you have to give him blame when things don't go well. His timeout with the when it was within 2 minutes or whatever it was, when he threw the flag rather and wasted a timeout, that was based off of pure emotion. You can't do things like that as a head coach, especially somebody that talks so much about the fundamentals and doing everything right. He doesn't come across as very smart when he does something like that. So that was definitely an eye-opening decision there by Joe Judge. So definitely got to be fair, and you got to give him criticism when it's well earned. By no means do I think that I'm even thinking about moving on from Joe Judge, but he did not have a good performance yesterday. That's for damn sure. Nor did Patrick Graham, who is a guy that a lot of New York Giants fans love, myself included. Last year, he did a masterful job with this defense, and I expect the defense to respond to be better next week. But Patrick Graham, if we're being real, got severely outcoached by our former head coach, Pat Shermer, who drew up a great offensive game plan. New York Light, man, thank you very much. 40 turnovers, 26 starts. DJ, it's time for him to go now. He might be on the way out. We'll see by year's end. It's one game. Like I said, I'm going to be consistent in what I say. I'm never going to tell anybody how they view things and what their opinion is. You're entitled to it. When we went into the season, I said I'm going to give the offense 5 or 6 games. I came out and I said specifically, I think the offense is going to start slow the first 2 games. Going up against the defensive week it went up against with all the injuries in preseason. I completely understand people who think Daniel Jones will not be the answer. I understand it. I will wait 5 or 6 weeks to see all these new weapons, see if they can build some chemistry. And if by the end of the Dallas game, they are not starting to click, I'm going to have serious concerns about this offense going forward. And I'm definitely going to be leaning towards what you're saying there right now. But we'll see. In terms of an encouraging thing in this game, the offensive line, not that it was perfect. Like I said, the run blocking was very bad. I thought the pass protection was much better than I thought it would be, albeit that Bradley Chubb didn't play in the game, and you don't know what you're going to get week to week from that unit. Nate Solder got beat badly, though, early on the Von Miller sack, and another bad play call by Jason Garrett, even though I like to see Kadarius Toney get involved. It looked like on that play when I watched it back on the pitch forward to Toney, which completely ruined any momentum on that drive after Daniel Jones hit Darius Slayton for like a 45-yard pass, and they lost 6 yards on the very next play. It looked like they intentionally let Von Miller go by because I think it was more or less basically a screen. Like that's basically the way that they were operating, and they wanted Von Miller, I guess, to overcommit, and Von Miller just completely read out the play and he blew it up. But that play ruined the entire drive, and that obviously that worked out to be a very bad play call by Garrett. And we're going to get into the the decision to be very conservative on his own 4-yard line after Logan Ryan recovered that fumble as well, which I'm sure a lot of people are critical of. Jesse, man, thank you very much. Do you think Daniel Jones will be our quarterback next year? I don't know. I'm not going to come to that conclusion. If you ask me right now, I will answer that question week 5 or week 6. If this offense doesn't look any better and they're not starting to show signs of growth, my answer to you is probably going to be no. Because I think Gettleman will be fired if this team has like a 5 or 6 win season, and I think the new GM is going to come in and want his quarterback. If the offense is starting to improve and this team is starting to show that maybe they could win 8 or 9 games, I will probably say yes. So I have to see how this team responds. I am not going to make a full season prediction or statement based off of one game, but it was not a good start for the New York Giants as a whole. I'll say that. Zeke, man, thank you very much. What up, bro? Can you say the defense was James Betcherish? Yeah, that's what I said actually during the stream, Zeke. Exactly what you just said. I don't know if I used the term Betcherish, but I said I felt like I was watching James Betcher call plays because it just felt like every time. And I just want to make sure I don't miss any of these because sometimes I'm good. It just felt like every time it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, even 4th and 7, I just felt like they were going to pick it up. And that's how I felt with James Betcher. And it seemed very predictable. It seemed like they knew when we were going to blitz. They picked it up well. Like a lot of people talk about zone coverage. There were times where we were in man and we were getting cooked. I think the thing is when you run a defense like Graham does and you're ultra aggressive or you want to be ultra aggressive, which it looked to me like we were being more aggressive than we were last year. If you're not getting home with those blitzes, they're going to pick you apart. And there were times where Bridgewater made great plays where we did get pressure. And he was able to extend the play. One was that touchdown where it looked like the Giants were going to sack him. I forgot who it was. I might have been Ojulari. I can't remember, where he stiff-armed him and threw him into the ground. And then Martinez had the missed tackle after the tight end caught the ball where he still could have been short of the sticks. And then he got in and scored a touchdown. So there were definitely times where Bridgewater went above and beyond. But overall, yeah, our 3rd down defense was as bad as I've seen in quite some time for the Giants. It was bad yesterday, and it's got to get much better against Washington, Zeke, if we're gonna have a good season this year, which obviously we all hope and pray that we will. You listen, man, I'm sick and tired of coming on here and I guess being a therapist, I want to talk about good things, man. I want to come on here and celebrate a win with you guys, man. Last year, after the Seattle win last year, it was phenomenal. It's the best I've ever felt since I've been on YouTube, to be able to celebrate that and truly feel like this team was starting to turn the corner. But then you get an effort like this to start the year and you start to question things. It's one game, but it's not a good start. And they better get it right real quick. And it's not going to be easy. It's a short turnaround. It's Thursday. It's in Washington. And going into the year, if I'm being honest, I picked Washington to win that game. So why would I change my mind based off the way they played in week one? Of course, Taylor Heineke's playing, but I could easily tell you that I think Taylor Heineke is at least as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick. I know they're without Curtis Samuel as well, but defense has to show up. It's going to be the same thing, man. We have got to be able to run the football, and we got to be able to play defense. We're not going to be able to beat the Washington football team unless that's the case. If Heineke's going out there and throwing the rock all around the field, we ain't winning. I mean, you just look at the game this past week. Justin Herbert scored 20 points on them. 20 points, Justin Herbert. You're talking about one of the 5, maybe top 7 or 8 talented quarterbacks in the league. Was only able to put 20 points in their defense. And that was with their offensive line having a great performance. So I don't expect this to be in the mid-20s. If we're going to win, it's going to be a low-scoring game. The defense is going to have to show up, and we're going to have to control the clock. I think by week 3, like I've said all along before the year started, week 3, week 4, week 5, you'll get to see this offense really start to open it up as we go against some weaker defenses. We get some more chemistry on the offense. But the 2 quick games back-to-back, 4 days into the season, the defense has to show up, and they didn't show up yesterday. Let's see. I'm going to read it here, Frank, because it didn't pop up on here, but I can read it on my phone. Frank, man, thank you very much. Talk me off the ledge, Chris. I'm on the edge of completely giving up on Gettleman Jones in the Saquon era. Frank, I would love to come on here. I can't lie to you, man. I can't lie. I can't come on here and be a liar. And I try my hardest at times to see Gettleman, to try to defend Gettleman when I feel it's appropriate. I can't defend Gettleman. I can't defend Gettleman anymore. It's either going to work this year or it's not. And if it doesn't work, Frank, I'm going to tell you this right now. Blow it up. That's what I think is going to happen. If we are a complete disaster this year, which I'm not telling you is going to happen, I still think we could rebound. It's one game. We could still rebound. We had a lot of pieces that have not played together yet. They didn't play in preseason. You have to hope that these guys gel. There were some positives to take. The offensive line look good. But if it does not look good and this team does not head in the right direction, they're blowing this up. You're going to get a new GM. You're going to get a new quarterback. And don't rule out, if they're that bad, that you might be getting a new coach. I'm not predicting that. I don't think that'll happen. But this is a put up or shut up year. It's year 3 of the rebuild. And when you spend the money that the New York Giants did, the Giants and their fan base expect results. And I think it's reasonable. I don't think my expectations are too high. You went out there, you spent a boatload of money. I expect at least an 8 or 9 win season at a bare minimum. And if they fall short of that, there's going to be problems. I can't lie about it, man. I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could calm you down, man. But that's just my honest opinion. Now, is it possible that we could still get a good season? Absolutely. It's one game. And I had them going 1-1 to start the year. I just had us losing in Washington. Maybe they bounce back and they beat Washington. We'll see. Chicago Giants fan, thank you very much. Garrett has failed. He has a big hand in the infinite offense. He has failed Jones. Sorry. Got some coffee stuck in my throat. No RPOs, no deep concepts. You built the scheme for the talent you have, not vice versa. In retrospect, I'll be the first to say, Chicago Giants fan, when they hired Garrett, I was okay. I was good with the hire. To my line of thinking, a big reason why they hired him was you were bringing in a new young head coach. You had a lot of young coaches around him. You wanted to get a guy with some head coaching experience that could be kind of a mentor for a guy like Joe Judge. And he had previous success as an offensive coordinator in the past. But at the end of the day, the Giants, in my opinion, made a mistake in hiring Garrett. And I don't even think it's completely Garrett's fault. We know when Garrett's successful, what it takes is a strong offensive line. And we didn't have that. We didn't have anything close to that. He's a guy that wants to throw the ball down the field on the outside to tall receivers, but you need time in order to do that. And they put Garrett in a bad situation. And he doesn't fit here. And yes, his playbook, when you watch the game, is very blah. It's not very innovative. And maybe some of that has to do with some of the limitations due to the fact that the Giants don't trust their offensive line. And that's probably half of it. And the other half is probably that Jason Garrett is not the best play caller. I did like early on, and I didn't understand it, why they got away from it, where the New York Giants were using Tony. I know it didn't work on that one play, and they used him in motion in another play where they threw it to the left. I want to see more of that, more pre-snap motion. I thought that they came out, it looked like pretty prepared on their first drive, and then things kind of went haywire when they couldn't establish the run. And the offense kind of went up in smoke outside of the two really good drives that Jones had. One resulted in a touchdown, the other resulted in a fumble. But the offense did look good on that drive before that. The blocking was very good. And then later in the game, they were throwing the ball down the field into tight windows, but at that point, the game was out of hand. So, yeah, I mean, Garrett has not been a good fit so far. I don't think he's the full problem, but I definitely think he's not part of the solution. Burgundy, man, thank you very much. They didn't use Kenny Golladay in the first half. Need to see him more on Thursday. Yeah, he only had one catch for like 17 yards. And it was over the middle off the play action on first down. And then they used him more as the game progressed. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. Definitely need to get more targets from Golladay. Obviously, Shepard was tremendous. Sterling Shepard was great in this game. But Golladay was super impressive as well. Every catch he made was very, very contested. He snagged the ball out of the cornerback's hands. And then he made another great catch later in the game. So I was really impressed with Golladay for a guy that really hasn't played all preseason, doesn't have much rapport with Daniel Jones. I would, some of the positives I take out of this is Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, you didn't say his name once all day. And that was a guy that we were all really worried about going into the game. And he's a guy we hope is in the future of this team for the next 10 or 15 years. He did a damn good job. Now, of course, I think Von Miller was lined up against Solder and Matt Parrott, who played a little bit. I'm pretty sure. Maybe somebody could correct me on that, but I think I'm right on that. He wasn't going up against him. So, maybe you could look at it like that. But regardless, he did a damn good job yesterday. Andrew Thomas, you didn't hear his name. So that was one big positive. I thought Golladay looked good. I thought Shepard looked good. The weapons aren't really the problem. Barkley, as I expected, is not going to come out looking like 2018 Barkley right out of the gate. So the weapons to me aren't really the problem. The offensive line did the best I could have hoped for in terms of pass protection. The run blocking, that was a problem for me, a big problem. And Daniel Jones continues to make a crucial mistake here and there that could cost your team football games. The defense, though, in my opinion, if you ask me what lost us this game, and obviously it's a team effort. The coaching wasn't good. Jones, of course, with the crucial turnovers. But what was the biggest key driving force why we lost? It was the defense. The defense didn't show up. We didn't have a chance if the defense played like that. Zeke, man, thank you very much. Garrett has to go immediately. We can't score with this guy calling this offense. Need to cut ties now and not in week 9. I understand where you're coming from, Zeke. I don't think they're going to do it this early in the season. But I understand where you're coming from, and I understand why fans are as upset as they are, based on what we've seen out of this offense since he's been here. And like I said, some of that definitely falls on him. I'm not going to give all of it to him, but definitely some of it falls on him. And I'll be the first to say with Pat Shurmur as the offense coordinator, this offense looked a lot better. And I was watching that game yesterday, and I'm saying to myself, wow, what if Shurmur was still our OC with Daniel Jones? He'd probably look a lot better. So I can't lie, man. He has not done a good job since he's taken this job. I'm not going to put the full blame on him. Like I never like to put the full blame on any one individual, but he's not been part of the solution. Great, man. Thank you very much. Jason Garrett offense is an abomination. It's not good. It's not good. Not good, man. Needs to change. We need to be more aggressive down the field. And Christian, thank you very much. Honestly, I don't remember the last time seeing a Giants receiver running open in the middle of the field. I feel like I see that a lot in good offenses. You saw it all day yesterday. Noah Fant was cooking us over the middle time and time again. They were cooking us, man, and they were working off the run. I actually thought defensively that was a little bit of a letdown for me. And I know that like the stats are a little bit misskewed at the end of the game. Melvin Gordon had that ridiculous run. So they had like 170 yards, but even without that, they had about 100 yards. We did a decent job in the middle to start the game, but there was one big play where it was like 3rd and 12 where Danny Shelton missed an ankle tackle behind the line of scrimmage. They picked up 9 yards, and it gave them the ability to convert on 4th down. And I thought that they were doing a great job on the outside. They were able to break big runs on the outside against this defense. They ran the ball better than I thought they would, and that definitely helped assist Teddy Bridgewater in the passing game. So just in general, man, the offensively, you're right. We don't have guys open, and defensively, guys were open way too often. What's going on, Rel? He says, Peppers look slow. Love brings energy. Peppers was bad. That's another guy I meant to talk about. Peppers was bad as well. He was bad in coverage. I think most Giant fans love Jabril Peppers. There ain't no defending Jabril Peppers yesterday. Darnay Holmes was good from time to time. He had his nose around the ball, but of course he had that really big crucial penalty with the unnecessary roughness. That was bad. But he was better than I thought he would look. But Jabril Peppers was bad. He was getting cooked in coverage time and time again. And I don't know if that all falls on him. Maybe some of it has to do with the scheme and guys not knowing where they need to be in the zone. But yeah, he did not look good. I'm not gonna lie about that. Peppers had a really bad game yesterday. I thought the other positive, I guess I'll say about the defense, I thought the interior defensive line got a pretty good push throughout the majority of the game. I thought they got a pretty good push. We got no pressure from our linebackers, though. And I know people look at Azeez Ojulari and they'll talk about the sack, but that was a coverage sack. Go back and watch it. Bridgewater pumped the ball like 3 times and nobody was open. And then Ojulari kind of came in and cleaned up. So, I'm not going to read too much into that. But, yeah, obviously he's a rookie. I'm not going to bash Azeez Ojulari. But to me, the defensive line was actually pretty good in terms of getting pressure and forcing Bridgewater out of the pocket. It's just that we couldn't clean it up a lot of the times. And sometimes Bridgewater just made plays and extended it with his legs. Ian, man, thank you very much. Garrett has to go. Play calling sucks. He's going to. If this continues, Garrett ain't going to last the season. I'll tell you that right now. If this offense ain't putting up points, Garrett ain't lasting the season. Whether it means he's going to be fired or whether it means he's going to lose play calling duties, but he's not going to last the season. He won't. There's no way. Not as bad as this offense has been the last couple of years. So for his sake and for Giants fans' sake, we better hope this offense gets it into gear real soon. So trust me, he will not last the season if this keeps up. There's no excuses this year with all the weapons that we've added. And he's got a quarterback now in the second year of his scheme. John, Matt, thank you very much. Didn't Judge say on his post-game interview that the play where he threw the flag was because someone up top saw something he didn't, told him to fight it, but he took the blame and he has to be better? He may have said that, John, but he then later went on to say, at least from what I read, I didn't see the post-game video, I saw quotes, that he knew he wasn't allowed to challenge that play, and it was basically based off of emotion. Like, no matter what, he wasn't going to be able to challenge that play. That was something that had to be looked at. The NFL had to do that, and he should know that the NFL takes a look at every scoring play, and he cost him, no matter what happened there, he was going to cost his team a timeout by throwing that red flag. So it was a bad decision regardless. I think it was based off of emotion, and hopefully he learns from that, man. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but obviously a bad decision there on Joe Judge's part. Wasted the Giants what could have been a very important timeout in that game. So it was not a good decision on his part. Steve, man, thank you very much. Last year I had a go at Roldy for having a go at DJ. I want to say sorry. I was wrong. DJ don't slide, don't throw smart, and he's not clutch. He really isn't a good quarterback. And based off yesterday, you have every reason in the world to feel the way you do. All you got to do is look at back-to-back drives. On one drive, like you said, Daniel Jones decided not to slide. And I get it. He's trying to make a play. He's a competitor. But at the same time, as a quarterback, you have to use your head. And even if it was first down, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I think it was. And he's got to know, even if you're going to get 2 or 3 less yards, you have got to slide. He decided not to. He lowered the shoulder, and that resulted in a fumble. Then on the very next drive, what happens? Teddy Bridgewater, same kind of situation. He takes off and has to run. He slides. Not only does he slide, because he slides, the Giants get hit with a unnecessary roughness penalty when they hit the quarterback, and they get 15 yards on top. That has been a major weakness of Daniel Jones since he's been in the league. The guy doesn't know how to slide. And that could have cost us the game. Had the defense been playing well, that probably would have cost us the game. I don't think we were going to win even if we scored on that drive, but it clearly would have made it a much more competitive football game. It was a crucial moment when we were starting to get getting some momentum back. Mike, Matt, very much. A new quarterback behind the same O-line will be trash. I agree, Mike, to be honest with you. I until this offensive line gets situated, I don't think you're going to see great quarterback play. I do think and I hope the offensive line is going to get better as we go along. Andrew Thomas was encouraging yesterday, and hopefully he continues to grow. Nick Gates looked pretty good. He was nasty. One guy I got to talk about, and one guy I was excited about going into the year, based off of his preseason performance, based off the way that he looked with the weight loss. Will Hernandez sucked yesterday. And I saw the PFF grade after the fact, just from watching the game. I had to rewind like 4 or 5 different plays, and I'm like, did Will Hernandez just miss another block? Did Will Hernandez just miss another block? He was missing blocks time and time again, whether it was the New York Giants trying to run or pass protect. Will Hernandez was really bad yesterday for the New York Giants, and I'm disappointed in that because I really was hoping and expecting Will Hernandez to be much improved this year based off some of the things we saw in preseason, and hopefully that'll change. And maybe not all of it was on him. Maybe there were times where he was shifting a guy to another offensive lineman. I don't know. It's very hard for me to truly analyze that, but from the naked eye, Will Hernandez did not have a good game yesterday. Andrew Thomas played very well, though. I will say that. Abe, man, thank you very much. I don't think we should draft a quarterback next year. I don't think anyone coming out is worth a first rounder if DJ is not the guy. Abe, I've said this countless times, man. The Giants are going to have 2 choices if they decide to move on from Daniel Jones, which I am hoping is not the case. We still got a long season ahead of us. But if it comes to that, it's going to be a stopgap or it's going to be in the draft. And I brought up a name and people laugh at me for it, but I'm not even going to bring him up. But I tend to agree with you. Like, Abe, I would rather go for a stopgap, like a decent quarterback, if they move on. Like, by no means am I telling people that I want to move on from Daniel Jones yet, or that I expect to move on. I still have a season to evaluate him. But if it comes to that, if they are not completely head over heels in love with the quarterback in the draft, I would rather go stopgap, possibly trade down in the draft, continue to accrue future draft assets. And then when I fall in love with the quarterback in the draft, use those draft assets to move up and get my future potential franchise quarterback. I never like reaching on a quarterback. I think it's a horrible idea. And I know the fan base, if we're going to be looking for another quarterback, is going to force themselves to fall in love with a quarterback like they did with Dwayne Haskins. But if they are not head over heels in love with a quarterback, they don't feel a quarterback in this draft coming up is top 5, top 6 potential in terms of his ceiling, I wait. I go with the stopgap if I'm moving on from Daniel Jones. So I see where you're going with that. And Abe says, give the OC to Kitchens. Can't be any worse. He can't be any worse. That's for sure. Can't be any worse. The offense was bad. I didn't expect the offense to be great yesterday. And the defense didn't help him out. Like if the defense was much better, we would have had better scoring opportunities. So I never thought we were going to score 20 points yesterday going against that defense, but it's been discouraging. And I understand where you guys are coming from. JD, man, thank you very much. There was a fine line between week 1 overreaction, Packers got smoked by Winston, and more the same with Giants. Fans are upset. I get it. Yeah, well, listen, if Aaron Rodgers was our quarterback, JD, and we were coming off a 13-3 season, and the Packers routinely go to the playoffs. They went to the NFC title game last year. Giants fans would be like, yeah, that's a fluke. We'll get them next game. I know they played horrible. I think they lost 38-3. But if you got Aaron Rodgers, you have confidence that you could bounce back and win game 2. When you've won 15 games in 3 years and you've only won 1 out of your last 11 now, openers to start the year, and you lose in the fashion that the New York Giants did, you're going to get a much different feeling with this fan base, and it's fair. Do I think fans that are saying the season is completely over a little off base? Yeah, that's just my opinion. But do I think there's definitely cause for concern based off the week 1 performance? Yeah, you'd be lying to yourself if you thought otherwise. Roldy, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. People want to make excuses blaming Garrett, not realizing there are big plays to be had, but Jones doesn't go through his progressions, even with the O-line giving him time. Rewatch the game and you will see. Roldy, if you watch my channel, you know I never put the full blame on Garrett. I think there's blame to go around. I think Garrett deserves part of the blame. I think Jones deserves part of the blame. I think the offensive line deserves part of the blame. I think Judge deserves part of the blame. Is it the most innovative offense? No. Did Jones look better in the Shermer offense? Yes. So do I see where fans are coming from when they're critical of Jason Garrett? Sure. Do I think he's the only problem? No. I think there's a lot more problems than just Jason Garrett. But we'll see. At the end of the year, I want no excuses for Daniel Jones. So if he fails, if he's good, this is great. I want to go forward with him. I want him to succeed. But if fans feel like a change with Kitchens, week 3 or 4 will change things, okay, let's see. That's my mindset. But I think that there's more problems than just Jason Garrett. Xerox, man, thank you very much. He says, afternoon, buddy, just totally deflated. Think we need a new OC. Jason Garrett's calls are so predictable. I was calling plays for my wife before they happened, and I've never played the game. Impressed my wife, though. But you got bonus points there, Xerox. No, I will say his offense is pretty predictable. Like I said, the first drive, I like some of the pre-snap motion with Tony. And Bobby actually brought it up. I thought it was a really good point that the only really deep ball that they threw was basically a free play where they hit Darius Slayton down the right sideline. Otherwise, that may have not been the design play. Jones kind of just threw it up because he knew he had a free play. And they started to take deeper shots as the game went along, but at that point, the game was out of hand. I need to see that earlier. You saw Jones with the play action. He hit Golladay for 17. I need to see more of that. The more intermediate throws between 15 and 20 yards. Try to stretch the field a little bit. Otherwise, you become too predictable. And obviously, the biggest knock in that game on Jason Garrett was his handling of when we got all the momentum. When we recovered the fumble, Logan Ryan falls on the ball. And that was a fantastic play, by the way. And then we have the ball at our own 4 or 5 yard line. And the first play's a run. I get it. Whatever. You want to try to give your quarterback more room. That's completely understandable. You want to try to get to the 7 or 8 yard line. It failed. On the second play, I hated the play call. The third play, like I said during the live stream, I was like, all right, they're just trying to get a little bit more room for their punter. But on second down, to call the play action and then throw it to Eli Penny in the flat, who was completely covered. Now, granted, they got quick pressure on that play, but there should have been a better play drawn up than that. That was a really bad play. And basically at that point in time, what I think Garrett and the Giants were telling you is we don't have trust in our offensive line to do the job here, and we don't have trust in our quarterback to throw the ball at his own 5-yard line. So, and we don't want him to lose the game. And to me, that was the biggest difference in this game, the handling of the quarterbacks by the coaches. One coach said, I'm not scared to have Teddy Bridgewater potentially lose me this game. I'm going to let him go for it on 4th and 7 around midfield. I'm going to let him go for it on 4th and 2 when he's got to give me field goal. I'm going to let him decide whether or not we win this game. In that spot, they didn't give Daniel Jones an opportunity to try to win the game on second down. Like I said, third down, I'm not going to be overly critical. It's 3rd and 9. You're backed up. You want to get 2 or 3 extra yards. The second down play call was atrocious. Tiana, thank you very much. We don't have any dogs on defense. Also, I'm starting to come to the conclusion DJ is nothing more than a good backup, not worth the number 6 pick. And right now, I'm not going to come to the conclusion yet, but right now, you definitely don't look stupid for thinking that. As far as the dogs on defense, I still like our defense. It was a bad performance. I still think Leonard Williams is very good. I think he had a sack. He had a half a sack. We got pretty good interior pressure. Dexter Lawrence looked pretty good. Bradbury was horrible. Got to point him out as well. He was getting cooked left and right in this game. You know, I won't say no, but he should bounce back based off the way he played last year. I think our defense will be better. I do. I think our defense will be much better as the year goes along. Hopefully that's just a fluke. If they come out with a performance like that against Taylor Heineke, there's cause for concern. And hopefully that won't be the case. And hopefully it's just a hiccup week 1 and Pat Shermer just out game planned us. But I do think our defense will be much better. John, man, thank you very much. Defense was shockingly bad. Do believe the offense will perform better going forward, hoping against hope. You know, and I know some fans may not want to hear this, and by no means am I saying the offense looked good. They didn't. I only counted as 7 points. I don't really count it as 14. It was a garbage time touchdown. There were parts of the offense that I liked. Parts, but not as a whole. I thought the pass blocking was better than I expected. I thought at times it looked like we could stretch the field a little bit with these new weapons. And hopefully it all comes together and gels going forward. Maybe, you know, I still don't expect it to be hitting on all cylinders just 4 days later going against the Washington defense on the road. But we need this defense to show up against Washington. We will not beat the Washington football team if this defense doesn't show up. We need them to come with a much better effort. Davey, man, thank you very much. Defense will be good. Garrett can't play goal. No imagination. Kitchens could do better with the same scheme. Garrett can't adjust. He will never be good. At this point, I can't debate it. Garrett has not been Garrett's been a horrible offensive coordinator for the Giants. Nicky, man, thank you very much. Thanks for the mod. Also, PFF had the Giants with the 13th best run blocking grade this week. Also, well, I don't know how they saw that. I don't know how did they have the 13th best run blocking grade this week? And I just watched the game back for a second time. They had no running lanes up the middle at all. They had 20 carries for 60 yards. I disagree with that. And maybe some of that has to do with the fact that Daniel Jones had a couple of nice runs, and that helped assist their run blocking grade. But, I mean, they averaged 3 yards a carry as a team. There were no holes. I know you're a PFF guy, Nikki. I'm going to go against them on that one. I don't see how they had them ranked that high, personally. Also, Peppers played 35%, and McKinney played 95% of the snaps. That I did not see. I didn't get a chance to look at the snap count. That's interesting. But I am shocked by that PFF number in terms of run blocking. Beyond shocked. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I didn't skip anybody here. And Bear, man, thank you very much. Our defense was the biggest problem. It was. Undeniably was our biggest problem, Bear. I'm tired of seeing 3rd and long and sometimes wide open for a first down. Been happening for years. Yeah, last year we thought it was good. This year going in, we thought it'd be much better with the addition of Adoree Jackson, the way the defense looked over the last 10 games or so. Even though they had their hiccups here and there, but overall it was a good defense last year. Yesterday it was abysmal. And you're not going against Tom Brady. You're going against Teddy Bridgewater. And Bridgewater looked great. I'm going to tip my cap. He had a fantastic game. You can't let Teddy Bridgewater make your defense look like that. Jason, thank you very much. Some Giants fans are nuts. Had to explain to them a few times how we're not the new Lions or the old Browns. No, we're not at that level. Calm down with that. We're not at that level. I do think we'll rebound. I think we'll win some games this year. But hopefully we wake up real soon, because if we start 0-2, then you're looking at a game. If you lose to Atlanta 0-3, you're close to dead. I mean, with your upcoming schedule after that, you got the Saints, the Cowboys, and the Rams. Starting 1-3, losing to the Falcons, a very winnable game. Like, they've got to get into high gear quick. And this Washington game, even though I won't label it a must-win, it's damn near close. And I think it's going to be tough to win. So they better get it together quick. Christian, man, thank you very much. Do you think the Giants made a mistake not taking Mac Jones or Justin Fields and stick with Jones? I can't answer that question. I don't know how Mac Jones is going to be as a quarterback. I don't know how Mac Jones would have played with the Giants. I don't know how Justin Fields would have played with the Giants. And I know a lot of fans that like Fields would say you had to take Fields there. I get it. But I knew going into the draft that we were never taking a quarterback. For me, it was Slater. That's who they should have taken. Knowing that we were never going to take a quarterback, knowing that we were going to give Jones another year, we addressed all the weapons. We brought everybody in. If they were going to stay at 11, the clear pick to me all along, you could look at my channel dating back to January, was Rashawn Slater. And that was not the route that they took. I could just as easily argue even if Fields turns out to be good, you have to see what they do with that extra draft pick that they got from the Chicago Bears if they go with a quarterback, and you have to see how that quarterback turns out, because by trading down, it resulted in getting that extra pick that could result in drafting said quarterback. So it's very hard for me to evaluate that right now. Toes, thank you very much. If we lose to Washington and Atlanta, this season is over. Hate to be negative, but we'd be 0-3. I agree. 0-3, it's damn near close to over. 0-3. And and I try to be optimistic and give you guys hope when I feel like I'm when I actually believe it. If we start 0-3, you could come close to turning the lights out. I'm not turning the lights out at 0-2. 0-3, you're in a bad spot. Football guy, Matt, thank you very much. I said it last night. Garrett has only ever had. Oh, football guy. What the hell, man? Football guy says, I said it last night. Garrett has only ever had missionary sex, and it shows in his play calling. Vanilla, boring, dated, zero imagination. He says, Garrett, give me some doggy style. Lifestyle realm, man. Thank you very much. Bring up the name. Relp, yeah, right now I'm behind you on the phone. That's why I can't bring up the name. But if I see I don't know if that's what you're asking me. I will pop it up when I can. But I'm a little bit behind on the phone. That's why. That's the only reason why I'm unable to bring up the name on some of the super chats, because it's just moving too fast. But I'm bringing up most of them, like this one. Marco, man, thank you very much. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of building an offensive line. Yeah, it's been a decade, and that's why on my channel I always talk about hog mollies, why I always talk about trying to improve this unit, because that's been instilled in me as a New York Giant fan. And I always talk about how when I first started watching the NFL, that I hated them, but I grew up watching those Cowboys teams, and that's how they won football games. Of course, Emmitt Smith got all the praise, and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, but that offensive line is what drove them to what they were. The Washington Redskins before that, obviously now called the Washington Football Team, same thing. They were the team that famously quoted themselves the Hogs. You went up at the point of attack. The New York Giants have been able to build a stable offensive line really since like 2009, maybe 2010, since they've had a pretty good offensive line. Even that last Super Bowl year, they didn't have that good of an offensive line, and they've had no stability there since. It was encouraging to see Andrew Thomas progress. I still think Thomas is going to be good. I think people overreacted with his preseason performance against the Patriots. And I think based off yesterday, maybe some fans relax a little bit about that. Giants fan, man, thank you very much. Browns haven't won a week one game since 1998. It could be worse, guys. Settle down and buckle up. Going to be a wild season. Hey, man, we still got 16 more games. We got a ways to go. We waited a long time, Giants fan, for this season to start, right? We waited since last January. So I am not going to give up on the season after 1 week. I'm just not going to do it. I know that we added a lot of talent to this team. The question is, can it all come together? Can the coaching staff put it together? Can they put them these guys in the best situations to succeed? And could these players stay healthy? We'll see, and we're going to get the answer. And it's what I was excited about going into the year. We're going to get an answer. The rebuild's either going to come to a screeching halt, and we're going to probably start another rebuild, or we're going to push forward because this rebuild's showing signs of progress. And we got a long way to go this season before we come to a final conclusion. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Jones is turning into the next Dave Brown. Hey, they're both from Duke, and they both haven't won a lot of games. So as of now, somebody mentioned that to me on Twitter today. They said Daniel Jones is Dave Brown, or something along those lines. And I said, as of now, I can't debate that. And if he does not have a significant improvement this year, that will be factually true. He will be headed towards a backup in the NFL. He has got to get much better this year. I can't continue to defend the guy and see him continue to lose football games. And I know it's not all his fault. I know yesterday wasn't the primary reason, but he's got to start winning football games, and it's got to start happening this year. Brendan, man, thank you very much. In good news, I'm tied for first in your pick'em and survived the eliminator. I survived the eliminator as well. I picked the 49ers. Maybe the Eagles fans know football more than y'all give them credit for. I'm torn for Thursday. Hey, man, the Eagles look good week 1. Again, it's week 1. It's the Atlanta Falcons. The Jacksonville Jaguars look great week 1, too. And the Eagles fans may look smart. They may end up winning 9 and 10, 11 games. And if they do, I'll tip my cap. I'll say I was absolutely wrong. I thought you were winning 5 or 6 games before the year started. I misjudged your football team. It's week 1. It's the Atlanta Falcons. It's a horrible defense. Let's see how they look. If they beat the 49ers, I will start to believe that the Philadelphia Eagles could be a much better team than I initially anticipated. Jonathan, man, thank you very much. Do you think playing Heineke gives us a better chance to win? Look good against the Chargers D and against Tampa last year. I would say he's probably on par with Fitzpatrick. You know, when Fitzpatrick's good, he's going to be great, right? You always worry about Fitz magic and what he could bring to a football team. And obviously, he didn't look very good with you guys yesterday. I would say he's probably on par. I don't think it's an advantage that he's playing. I don't think it's a disadvantage that he's playing. I know he had a good day yesterday. I think he threw for 120 yards with like a 119 QB rating. But yeah, let's put it this way. He doesn't scare me. But I know he's looked good at times. Buck Josh, man, thank you very much. Garrett is point shaving for his Papa Jones. The play calling was horrible. Hopefully in a few weeks they could get their act together. They're going to need to, man. And the defense, like I said, is going to have to show up for this team to really take it to the next level. And we'll see if they can do it, man. I just really hope that they can. Davey says, I feel sorry for the Washington football team Thursday. Mark my words. Davey, I love the optimism. And I hope we go out there and we smash their skulls and we get to 1-1. It's definitely a game we can win. There's by no means am I going to go in saying we can't win. It's definitely a game we can win. We'll see if we do. It's going to be tough, though. I had us losing that game before the year started. So I have respect for Washington. I have respect for their football team. I think they have a good pass rush. We'll see what Heineke can bring to the table, though. That's certainly a question mark. Lorenzo, thank you very much. Giants are 28-52 past 5 years, my bro. It's bad. It's freaking horrible. It's freaking horrible. Our high over the last 3 years going into this year was, 6 wins? We've picked 2nd, 4th, and 6th. 2nd, 4th, and 6th. This is as bad as it gets for the New York Giants. Not even close since I've been watching this football team. John, man, thank you very much. If our playoff chances are virtually done within 7 days of the 2021 season, it's not. I don't think it's done yet. I would say if we start 0-3, it's not looking good. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Yeah, if we start 0-3, of course, I'm still going to push on and hope that we could start to turn the corner against the Saints and Cowboys, but I'd be lying to you if I thought we had a good chance to make the playoffs if we start 0-3. They better get it going real quick. And Rich, man, thank you very much. Stand up, new member. Thank you, Rich, man. I appreciate it, man. Welcome to the squad, buddy. As I'm sweating down here. And Rel, man, thank you very much. No, I mean the quarterback. The quarterback I'm interested in. Oh, you mean in terms of free agency? Listen, people laugh at me because they, anybody that thinks stopgap, and I know like people are going to want me to say Deshaun Watson. They're going to want me to say Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to want me to say, who's the other big name that I hear? I don't remember. But I just realistically speaking don't think we're ever going to bring in Watson with all the stuff that happened to him this year. He's suspended for the year. The Giants always talk about culture fit. Rodgers is never going to want to play for the Giants with the offensive line that we have. And not to mention, I don't see really the match with Joe Judge. And Russell Wilson, that's the other name. Russell Wilson has been complaining about his offensive line with the Seahawks for a decade. You think he's going to rush over to come to the New York Giants? I just don't see it. So if you're asking realistic stopgap, I think about the factors on this team. If Joe Judge remains the head coach, and he's not a sexy name, he's a stopgap. He's not going to win you. He's probably not. I mean, he did go to a Super Bowl, but and he's in a great situation with Shanahan. I brought up Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're clearly going to Trey Lance next year. Jimmy Garoppolo has played with Joe Judge at New England. He's got ties to Jerry Shaplinski, our quarterback coach. Do I think he's a long-term answer? Absolutely not. It's why the term's called the stopgap. He's a guy that mans the fort until you find your quarterback in the draft. If they didn't like a quarterback in the draft, I could see them going that type of route. And again, not a sexy name, not a guy that's going to win us a Super Bowl. Let's see. And Musab, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Is Jones bad at going through progressions? It's the only thing that makes sense. What is with the play calling? It's 90% stick patterns. Why did we get Golladay? We should use Golladay a lot more throughout that game. I like the way they use Golladay once the game. Of course, Wilson, of course, is a flat-out answer. I just don't see the New York Giants being able to get him Afghanistan. Of course, he's not a stopgap. And as is Aaron Rodgers is older, so I guess he'd be a stopgap. and Watson would not be a stopgap. But I just don't see those guys becoming New York Giants. I'm trying to think realistically. But as far as I mean, listen, they need to do a much better job of getting Galladay the ball down the field, trying to stretch the field, and taking more shots. I'm with you on that. I was disappointed in the way that they used Galladay. They only targeted him, I think, one time in the first half. And I mean, to be fair, they barely had the ball because the defense couldn't get off the field. I think they only had 3 drives in the first half, but I wanted to see him targeted more. And it looked like as they started to do that, as the game progressed, it looked like, he looked really good. He was making tightly contested catches. They need to do a better job of that week 2 against the Washington football team. We'll see if they could do it. And as far as the play calling, yeah, man, I can't defend it, man. I know people have been complaining about the play calling forever. Let's see. That's realistic. The Next Gen says that's realistic. The idiots that think we're getting, I don't like to call anybody idiots. The idiots that think we're getting Wilson or anyone like that as a stopgap or stupid go. That's it. Yeah, that's just my realistic name, Next Gen. I know fans don't want to hear that. I know fans want the second coming of Jesus Christ and they want Russell Wilson. I don't see Seattle rushing to trade him. I don't see the Giants rushing to trade for Deshaun Watson based off everything. And I don't see Aaron Rodgers wanting to play for Joe Judge. So if you ask me a stopgap, I think he's the most realistic guy. I'm sure there's other possibilities, and that's something hopefully we don't have to talk about. But that's my line of thinking. Vin, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, thoughts on why Jones was so good with progressing through reads before, and he decides on his third year he's locked in every play. Why? See, I just pinned a quote by accident, unpinned. See, I don't think, Vin, if I'm being honest with you, and I thought that, here's what I'll say. I thought that Jones fit the Shermer scheme much better. It's why I was not against keeping Shermer for another year, because I thought about Daniel Jones and his progress. Thought that he was a horrible head coach, but I was thinking about Daniel Jones. But what I will say is I don't think Daniel Jones was good at processing his first year. I think his statistics were a little bit misleading. He had 24 touchdowns and 12 picks. I think he had about 8 or 9 lost fumbles. But he compiled his stats a lot against really bad defenses. He threw 5 touchdowns against the horrible Washington defense. He threw 4 touchdowns against the horrible Jets defense. And another 4 touchdowns against another really bad. I can't remember. But when he went up against good defenses, he struggled in terms of reading zone coverage, which you expect from a rookie. I didn't, knock him for it. But I don't think he was great at in terms of reading the field his rookie season, if I'm being honest with you. I just thought that he fit the scheme better. Let's see. Judge is a teacher, right? Well, he did a bad job. Listen, man. I think it was Detroit, Mike. I think you're right about that. I think it was Detroit, the other game where he had 4 touchdowns. Robert says Judge is a teacher, right? Well, he did a bad job teaching anyone how to play week 1. Yeah. Listen, I am not going to be a Joe Judge guy who, a Joe Judge pom-pom cheerleader. I love Joe Judge. You guys know that. I think he could be the long-term answer. The key word is could. I'm not saying he will be. I was impressed with him year 1. I like the energy that he brought to this team and everything else. But when he deserves to be criticized, I'm going to criticize him. And I thought he did a really bad job. And just like I've said, these recent draft picks we've had, I'm going to put just as much as the onus on him as I do Dave Gettleman, because everybody says they work together. So if Gettleman gets the blame, I'm also going to give Judge the blame if, say, Andrew Thomas doesn't work out, even though I do think he will. So yeah, that's my take, man. I'm going to be as fair as I can with Judge. I love Judge. I hope he's the long-term answer. But when he does bad things, he's going to get critiqued for it. Yesterday, he didn't have this team ready to play. The defense flopped. The timeout, wasting the timeout with the red flag, not good, man. Not good stuff, especially when he's a guy that preaches discipline and being prepared as much as he does, like you alluded to. Jason, man, thank you very much. Do you think part of the problem is the Giants refuse to stop hiring through connections within the organization? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because here's what I worry about, Jason. If we fire Gettleman, and I've been a Giants fan for a long time, and this is what I think is very possible, and in fact probable. If we fire Gettleman this year, which if we're bad, we're going to, I could completely see Kevin Abrams getting promoted or somebody from within the organization. And at that point, all you really have is a more politically correct Dave Gettleman, because you're just hiring somebody from within his staff that was part of the decision-making, and it's just more of the same. And I think the reason they would do that is because they want Joe Judge to be a part of the future. They don't want to bring in an outsider who would probably want to name his head coach. And if Judge got off to a slow start, he'd want to make a coaching change. And I could completely see that happening. as they just hire for somebody from within. And at that point, you're just getting more of the same, and you're not getting that change that fans are asking for. So that's my take on it. And AV Mailman, thank you very much. Who else thinks Mara is the one keeping Garrett? I think Mara had a lot to do with, and I said this when we first hired him too, because he's really the only guy with no connection to Joe Judge, and obviously he has connections to Garrett. I think Mara had a ton to do with the hiring of Jason Garrett. He definitely was part of the influence in hiring Jason Garrett. I completely believe that. I don't know if he's forcing them to keep him, though. And we'll see, because the Giants did make changes in terms of the offensive responsibility. They brought in Russ Callaway, who has something to do with the offense now. They promoted Freddie Kitchens. Last year, they fired the offensive line coach, Mark Colombo, who, of course, had ties to Garrett. That probably didn't make Garrett very happy. So I don't know. I mean, there's no way of me knowing this. I definitely think Mara was part of the hiring process. I don't know if he's part of the influence on why he can't be relieved of duty. I think they genuinely wanted to keep Jones second year in the same scheme, so there was more familiarity. That's my honest belief. I don't think Mara is forcing them not to make a coaching change at that position, but I do think he had a lot to do with the hiring of Jason Garrett. Papo says, entertainer, do we put in our newly signed veterans from the O-line? Well, we did. We actually made some changes yesterday. Bredesen actually played pretty well. He played the second half on that drive where the offensive line looked really good. He played pretty well, I thought. I think you may see him start. We'll see. But I think you may see him start to open up the game. It may be more of the same, 4 days off. Maybe they have a certain group start this first half, and then maybe a certain group start the second half. And then going forward, week 3 on, you have kind of your set offensive line. Joe Judge did talk about going into the year with all the new players they've acquired late. It's kind of like an extension of the preseason at certain positions, trying to evaluate. So maybe week 3 on, being that you play 2 games real quick, close to each other within 4 days, you'll see more of the same. And then week 3, I'm expecting kind of a set offensive line going forward. But it looks to me like Bredesen has a good chance to ultimately end up being one of the starters on that offensive line at the guard spot. Vidman, Fitzpatrick out 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, I figured he was going to miss a decent amount of time. Vin says, you don't think Jones was too... Oh, no, I do. What I'm saying, Vin, is I think he's kind of always been that way. I don't think that was still there in his rookie year. I think what you said earlier was you felt like it wasn't there in his rookie year. I do. I felt like it was there in his rookie year as well. But I kind of chalked it up to rookie year. You know, he's got to get better at that, at reading defenses and things of that nature. That's kind of always been a knock on Daniel Jones, is his processing speed and his pocket awareness. And that was something that a lot of people talked about in his rookie year. And what's going on, Carlos says, Tana, did you see the Lions coach, not the head coach? I think the DB coach obliterating Okuda. No, I did not. It's literally wild. Definitely want. I will check it out, Carlos. I will check it out later today. No, I did not see that. Okuda, of course, a huge disappointment last year. Number 3 overall pick out of Ohio State. I was a big fan of his. I thought he was going to be a really good cornerback, but so far he's been a complete bust. Simon, thank you very much. At work, I missed a lot. Help me feel optimistic. I know a lot of you guys come to me because I guess I try to be like a glass half full type of guy. I can't lie, though. I can't lie. I give my true feelings. And the only thing I could tell you in terms of from an optimistic standpoint, I do honestly believe the defense is going to look much better. I do. And that starts this week. I do think they will look much better against Washington. I don't expect a duplicate performance. However, I don't know about the offensive line. The pass protection was decent this week. Is it going to be decent against that Washington pass rush? And the run blocking concerned me. I do think the defense will be better this week. And I do think the offensive playmakers will be hopefully a little bit more acclimated now that they got to play a full game with Daniel Jones. And hopefully they use Galladay more often at the start of the game. And maybe Tony's a little bit more involved and Barkley's a little bit more involved. And more prepared, being that he has a game under his belt, but that remains to be seen. In terms of this week, the only thing that I expect to be much better is going to be the defense, and it's going to have to be if we're going to win this football game. But and the other thing I'll say is it's only one game. We still got a long season ahead of us, but there was not a lot of positives to take out of that first week 1 performance. Outside of, I guess, Andrew Thomas, who's definitely a big part of the future for this football team. He had a really nice start to the season. I think the offensive line as a whole in terms of pass protection definitely exceeded my week one expectations. I'll say that. But yeah, a lot to grow off of week one. Jake says it was fine his rookie year, but we're now in year. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of what I was getting at, Jake. Like his rookie year, you kind of expect that, especially because he was thrown into the fire. I always thought they probably shouldn't have rushed him in there just 2 weeks into the season. And so you kind of expected that. But yeah, like you said, now we need to start seeing progress in that department. Yeah, Saquon didn't get hurt, so that's Michael says, Chris, I'm done with Danny Jones. Jeffrey Abbott was right. He isn't the guy. Listen, you obviously know I didn't like the pick when we made it, but I chose to try to root for the guy and hope that he could grow and get better and see the positives in his game. And I'm going to give him at least 5 or 6 more weeks before I come to my final conclusion. But I'm not going to tell you you're crazy for thinking that way based off what you've seen last year and the start of this season. And hopefully he gets better and this team continues to improve. Anthony, man, thank you very much. Stand up, Chris. Saquon testing his legs Sunday to run on Thursday. Watch. Well, that would be bad if he doesn't play. And, obviously he didn't look, and I expected it. He didn't look like his normal self in terms of explosiveness. And there were times, I saw some people in my chat saying that he danced too much. I thought the opposite. As a matter of fact, I thought he didn't dance enough in terms of being the old Saquon Barkley. I felt like there were times he just gave up on plays and fell down to the ground and took the 2 or 3 yards that were there for him. Part of what makes Saquon Barkley special is you have to accept that there's going to be times where he loses 2 or 3 more yards than he should because he attempts to try to create a huge play. In the game yesterday, he didn't make those attempts, at least from what I saw. He kind of just took the yards that were there, and he fell to the ground. I thought he ran hard. On the 3rd and 2 play, he ran hard. He got 5 yards where the offensive line kind of got behind him and pushed. There was another run on the right sideline where I thought that he ran hard, but you didn't see his confidence in his ability to break a big play yesterday. So he's probably not 100%. 100%. He may be physically, but in terms of game shape, he's not 100% yet. And Mike, man, thank you very much. Interest may fade early if they don't get it together. Draft O-line high. Look for a Garoppolo type in the offseason. That's the route I could see. If they're not in love with a quarterback in this year's draft, that's the route I could see. You use one of those draft picks to shore up the offensive line, and you go the stopgap route. Of course, if you're in love with the quarterback, you go with said quarterback. A lot of people are talking about, I think it's Malik Willis out of Liberty. I'm going to be completely honest. I saw a couple highlights. I haven't really gotten to see him play in a real game. And I don't really want to look at him yet. I want to continue to analyze Daniel Jones and hope he continues to get better this year. But people have talked about him. They think he's a high upside quarterback. I don't know. We'll see. At year's end, we'll talk more about it. Juicy man, thank you very much. He says, this last game reminded me of what Danny could be from his rookie year, only it was Teddy, and I think the offense isn't all there, but it will maybe. This last game reminded me of what Danny could be from his rookie season. Yeah, well, he was in the Pat Shurmur scheme, so I'm sure that had something to do with it, right? He's a very good play caller, not a good head coach. So that's definitely going to assist Teddy Bridgewater. But Bridgewater played great, man. He made plays. It wasn't just all in the play calling. He made plays, and sometimes you got to tip your cap. He had a great game against the New York Giants. He made plays when they weren't there. Quite simple. He elevated his team. We could talk about how Daniel Jones didn't lose the game, and for the most part he didn't, outside of one atrocious fumble. The defense was the primary reason we lost. But Bridgewater elevated his team, and that's what a really good quarterback does. And I'm not saying that Bridgewater's a really good quarterback, but yesterday he was. And that's what a really good quarterback does. He elevates his football team, and he did that yesterday. What's going on there, Joshua? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. If we have 2 top 5 picks, we get Thibodeau and Evan. I would love Evan Neal. I don't think we're gonna have 2 top 5 picks though. Xavier, man, thank you very much. We're going to dominate Thursday, I'm sure. I love it, man. I love the confidence, man, and I hope you're right, man. I really do. I hope you're right, and we go out there because I'm gonna tell you what, if the Giants do go out there and beat Washington, even if they don't dominate, if they beat Washington, this fan base is gonna feel a lot different. They're gonna say, all right, it was one game, a little bit of rust. We came back, got a divisional win. We're 1-1. We're looking good. We got Atlanta on deck. We're staring 2-1 in the face. So if we win this week, all this pessimism and negativity will at least be put down a little bit until the season continues to progress. So it's a big game, big game on Thursday, a huge game, especially being that it's a divisional game. And what worries me is, we're all talking about how it's such a big game for the Giants, right? It's also a huge game for Washington. Washington started 0-1. Washington's at home. Washington has a super challenging schedule coming up. They, as much as we need this win, they need it even more. So it's such a big game for both teams. And the New York Giants are going to have to find a way to get a win. And Vin, man, thank you very much. He says, Saquon not dancing and taking 2 and 3, I like. That's kind of what he did, Vin. I think there's times when he needs to dance and try to create a big play because that's what he does. So I just felt like he showed that he didn't have it. He knew he didn't have it yesterday in terms of the explosion. But I thought he ran relatively hard. The holes just weren't there. Joseph, thank you very much. Tana, DJ can't win, man. I'm finally starting to see the truth. Guy still does not understand the slide. The slide concept's a joke. And he's got to get better at that. He's got to get better at that. That has to improve. He's a smart guy. He went to Duke. You got to know. You got to get down. And he did it on the next drive. And then fans point at that and say, see, I have a guy in my Discord, Kenny, who loves Daniel Jones. And I love Kenny. And he showed me 2 clips. He said, see, he learned. Okay, but how many times does he have to learn? You know what I'm saying? Because he slid, I think, like 2 or 3 drives later. You got to know in that spot to get down. You can't turn the football over in that spot. And it was so crippling because we were building momentum. The offense was looking good. Pop Exotic, man, thank you very much. Only facing better teams from now on was a must win. Yeah, we have to win this week. I can definitely understand where you're coming from when you say we have to. I'm not going to say the season's over if we lose. And to me, that by definition is a must win. But the season is in big jeopardy if we lose, if we start 0-2. If we start 0-3, we're living on a prayer. It's a big game. It's a big game on Thursday. I'm not going to downplay it. First time he was going for the first down, didn't need to, but he tried. Yeah, but here's my issue, Mike. And I understand. And he's a competitor, and I respect that, and I get it. And he's trying to make something out of nothing. I understand it. But here's my issue, and I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I'm right on this, because I might be wrong, but I want to make sure I'm right on this, because I wrote down every play as I was watching the game back for a second time. Yeah, here it is. Here's my issue with it, Mike. If it was 3rd down, I'm okay with it. If it was 4th down, I'm okay with it. You're putting your head down. You're trying to get the first down. It was 1st down. It was 1st down at the 22. You got to be smarter than that as a quarterback. You got to take your 4 or 5 yards and slide. I know that you're a competitor. You're trying to make a big play. You cannot run the risk of fumbling that football. You just can't. You got to be smarter than that. Bridgewater got down the very next drive. Like I said, 3rd down, more understandable. 1st down, inexcusable. Inexcusable. Let's see. Justin, man, thank you very much. Do we have a better change based on Heineke starting? I don't know. I don't know if it's like, here's what I'll say. I don't think it makes them better or worse. Like, I still view them the same. Heineke clearly has some potential. I know he looked good against the Bucs and he had good stats yesterday, but is he a guy that, him and Fitzpatrick to me are the same. Like, neither one's going to scare me. And if our defense is as good as we hope it's going to be, which is a lot better than yesterday, they're going to take care of him. And if they don't, then we got real problems. If you start the year with the defense looking the way they did weeks 1 and 2, going up against Bridgewater and Taylor Heineke, it's going to be a long season. The defense better look a lot better. I don't care if people think Taylor Heineke could be a pretty good quarterback. Defense better look a lot better. What's going on there, Spencer, man? Thanks for popping in. You carved a pumpkin yesterday. In case you guys don't know, every time the Giants lose, I've had Elvis on via video call. That's why I know this. Every time the Giants lose, he carves a pumpkin. So the first time he came on my channel last year, the Giants were 0-5. And I looked in the background, and I'm like, why do you got 5 pumpkins? He said, every time the Giants lose, that's my therapy. I carve a pumpkin. So hopefully you don't carve many more pumpkins this year, Elvis. Let's see what we got here. The fumble didn't matter. The defense could get. I agree. In terms of winning and losing the game, I agree. I think we would have lost even if we scored on that drive, but it still matters. It still gives us an opportunity to win the game if we score on that drive. But I agree, we would have lost that. Our defense wasn't stopping anybody yesterday. Saquon changed back to questionable on Yahoo Fantasy just now. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, he was a questionable designation going into this game this week, so I'm not surprised by that. We'll see if he plays. Hopefully he does. I think he will. But it's possible he doesn't, being that it's only 4 days in between games. It's possible. Xavier, man, thank you very much. Washington's pass blocking looked awful week 1. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the game. They had the Eagles game here. I did hear that people said both sides of the line were disappointing for Washington week 1. And hopefully that's the case against the New York Giants. NFL experts, man, thank you very much. Tana, yesterday I was mad and sad till about 9 o'clock. I think most people probably share that sentiment. I think most people are probably still mad and sad right now. You wait like 200 plus days for the New York Giants to take the field, and then they come with an effort like that. I understand completely because I'm just as mad and sad as you guys. I just react differently than some people. Time to burn the red hoodie. I ain't wearing the red hoodie. I got to come up with something new. I ain't wearing the red hoodie on Thursday. Pop Exotic, man, thank you very much. Maybe I'll buy something new. I'll try to get some more good luck mojo. We'll try something. Any suggestions, guys, please shout them out. Pop Exotic says, I'm more scared from Heineke than Fitztragic. I get it. But what I will say is Fitzpatrick, when he's on, is really good. So if you get Fitzmagic for 1 week, he can kill you too. The problem is we don't make teams pay for their turnovers, and they always make us pay. That's part of it. Sure. And that goes on the offense and the defense. We need to start wearing paper bags, Tone Blue says. Not yet, but if we'll see. I don't know what just happened there. Kicked me out for a second, so I apologize about that. And this is the new laptop, so that's the first time that's happened. I might have pressed something, but I was having trouble getting it back. And now it's zoomed in for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but I'll just look here. I'm not going to pull up anything on the screen. I'll just look here with your guys' comments. I don't know what just happened there. But yeah, sorry about that. Tana's like the Sopranos. He cut the black. LT just gave Tana the same. Maybe that's what it was. You said LT and it went black. Wearing a Saquon Color Rush jersey. Maybe I'll wear my Saquon jersey. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Tana practicing the paper bag trick, James says. Chris, which game are you going to this? I'm going to the Eagles game. I'm going to the Eagles game for sure. And I may or may not go to the Falcons game. I haven't decided yet. But I'm definitely going to the Eagles game for sure. We'll see about the Falcons game week 3. Definitely going to the Eagles game. Not as bad, Double Tana. What's going on there, AB, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Matter of fact, let me try to refresh this to see. I may pop out for a second, just so you're aware. I'm going to try to refresh to see if it's okay. I should be better now. Now it's not so zoomed in on my computer, so I can read the chat on here and I can pull up the comments. Jones needs let's see what we got here. What's up there, Lefty man? You disappeared like RD yesterday. This is true. Tana watching the New York Giants is like sitting in the dentist chair without Novocaine for 4 hours. That especially with games like yesterday. That's very accurate. Think Bredesen starts on Thursday. What about Parrott? I don't know for both. I would guess not. I think they'll both see action kind of like week 1 because it's only a 4-day layover. That's just my guess. I know Bredesen looked pretty good, but I think by week 3, I expect to see Bredesen in the starting lineup. I'm going to the Falcons game and maybe the Panthers game. Well, you should hopefully get a win week 3. If we don't get a win week 3, we're in trouble. So, and of course, you get to see Eli Manning, which is awesome. Check Pat Leonard tweet. Okay, let me take a quick look. What did Pat Leonard have to say? Nick Gates said the Giants moved the ball fairly well, but can't stall in the red zone. Whether it's turnovers or a snap count messed up by me, referring to the Von Miller sack when several linemen didn't move. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Today's Giants injury report, maybe that's what you mean, since there was no actual practice. Did not participate Evan Ingram, Shane Lemieux, Cam Brown, limited Saquon Barkley. Reinforces my belief Ben Bredesen could start at left guard on Thursday. So, okay, so maybe Bredesen will start. Maybe that's what you meant. Maybe Bredesen will start based on the injury report this week. What happened to John Ross? John Ross is on the IR. He was hurt all preseason, and he started the year on the IR. So he's been banged up the entire offseason. He made the roster, but he started on the IR. What are the COVID restrictions at Mount? I mean, I haven't been to a game, so I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat that has been to the game could specify on it. When I went to FanFest, there were none. It's not, they didn't make you show your card or anything like that. And you know, everybody was sitting next to one another. Davey, man, thank you very much. What will these fans say when we're 3-1? They'll celebrate. I mean, they'll celebrate, Davey, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we, you know, everybody that's panicking and doubting looks like fools. I think we all want to. Anybody that's doubting this team right now, they want to be proven wrong, and I'm praying to God that they are. I just hope this team could turn it around, man. Big couple of games coming up against Washington and Atlanta. But I'm not going to come on here, Davey, and preach fake optimism. I just can't do it. I try to be level-headed. I am not going to say the world is ending, and I'm also not going to say that the skies are bright. I need to see more of the team, and I need to see how they respond going into week 2. No vaccine cards. Okay, so you didn't need vaccine cards at the game. Giants didn't get Cam Newton. Giants ain't getting Cam Newton. I've been a Giants fan for 5 years, and all I've experienced is losing. When will it end, Tana? Hopefully sooner than later, Tom. I want it to end just as much as you do. Believe me. Joe Judge officially on the hot seat. Chances are our new GM will want to choose his own coach. Let's see. I mean, like I said, I think it's entirely possible, and I know you don't want to hear it, Chris, and I understand it, that we hire a GM from within if we move on from Gettleman. If we do that, Judge stays. No doubt about it. If we do hire somebody from the outside, you could be. You don't know. Let's see. Frank says, my biggest fear is Daniel Jones is just good enough to not move on from. You're talking about quarterback hell, and hopefully that will not be the case. Hopefully he's good enough to push forward with, and we're a good football team. Yo, Chris, how would you like a – no, you don't got to do that, Anthony, man. I appreciate you for the thought. You don't got to do that, buddy. Nikki says, Chris, what do you think of DJ's performance strictly from a passing perspective? Strictly from a passing perspective, I thought Jones, for the most, yeah, he had a good day. I mean, he was 9 of 12 for 120 or 130 yards at the half. And that includes a couple of balls that should have been caught. And I think Slayton would even tell you that. It was slightly misthrown, but Slayton dropped 2 balls that hit both of his hands. He did get help, though, on the one throw to, I think it was Booker, where it was a horrible throw, and Booker made a miraculous catch. So that kind of cancels him out. He made one egregious throw, and he's lucky it wasn't intercepted. And if it was, he would have gotten absolutely castrated by the media and the New York Giant fans because it was an inexplicable passing attempt in the red zone at about the 7 or 8 yard line when he tried to throw it to Saquon Barkley into triple coverage. And we say it every week. Outside of this decision, he was pretty good. He can't have that. He can't have those decisions in close games when you're losing and you're trying to come back. He got away with that one. But outside of that, just from a passing perspective, yeah, Jones had a good game. He threw the ball well. He made good throws. Thursday. Let's see. Art Stapleton, Twitter, Kenny Golladay tweet. Let me take a quick look. Let's see. Kenny Golladay on convincing Daniel Jones to give him chances, even if the coverage is there. I do want him to have that trust in me, and I know that's going to take time. Saw some of that late Sunday. So Kenny Golladay is basically telling Daniel, listen, throw the ball. I don't care if it's tight coverage, throw it up. I'm going to go up and grab it. So hopefully we see more of that week too. Golladay made some very impressive catches in tight coverage throughout that game as the game wore along. So hopefully that'll be the case. Dark Simi, man, thank you very much. He says Denver had no respect for our defense. They treated us like Burger King, and they had their way. You're right. Pretty good, man. I like that, Dark Simi. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, they went for it 3 times on 4th down. One time was a 4th and 7. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a good defense, teams aren't doing that. They didn't have respect for our defense, especially a team like Denver, where their strength is their defense. They still went for it on 4th down. They didn't care. They said, yeah, we're going to get it, and we're going to go for it, and they got it. More often than not. So you're absolutely right, man. They spit on our defense yesterday, and they were proven right. Kenny needs to be targeted. There's no doubt about it, John. Kenny needs to be targeted more. Scott says, stop with the... yeah, well, Scott, I'm not going to say the season's over for 0-2, like I've said throughout the stream. Will I say after the game, if we do lose, that I'm worried? Yeah. That 07 team, if we're being fair, had gone to the playoffs each of the last 2 seasons. And they rebounded, and then obviously they went on to win the Super Bowl. I will not say the season's over at 0-2. I will start to say that it could be over at 0-3 if they lose to Atlanta. But no, I will not be saying the season's over at 0-2. I hope it's 1-1. Benjamin, thank you very much. I know it sucks that you couldn't win, but look on the bright side. My Rams took care of the Bears. You're welcome. And that was definitely good. And we haven't talked about that throughout the stream. And Sports Perfect's Browns took a fat L. So you know I had a great weekend. Well, there you go. Yeah, the Rams definitely helped us out, and the Bears get off to an 0-1 start, and that's a team that we definitely have to monitor and keep close track of throughout the season. Every time the Bears win, it helps out. Bears lose, rather, it helps out the New York Giants. So that was definitely a good thing in terms of their draft position. Will you stream the game today? Probably not. Probably not. I'm going to take a break. I will. I have to take a look at the schedule. Sunday, I'm definitely going to stream a game because the Giants play on Thursday. So I will definitely stream probably the Cowboys game if it's on local TV, which hopefully it is. Cowboys play the Chargers. That's a good game, and obviously it has implications from within the division. So I will stream the game on Sunday, the Cowboys game, if I get it here. If not, I'll probably do the Eagles game. And maybe I'll do the primetime game that week as well, whichever game is better, the Sunday or Monday. But tonight, no, I'm going to chill. I don't think I'm going to call the Ravens game tonight. It's a bad game, too. Ravens, Raiders, bad game. Garrett is a dead man walking. Yeah, he ain't looking good, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm good. So is Eli calling the game tonight, Mike? Is Eli calling the game tonight? I know they're calling 10 games this season, Eli and Peyton Manning. And I think it's on ESPN2. I know the main broadcast is on ESPN. I think they're on ESPN2. So he is. They're only calling 10. So this is one of the 10. Awesome. Oh, that is definitely what I'll be watching. And I will be live tweeting with you guys as I watch Eli Manning tonight call the game, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of funny moments with him and his brother. The game's horrible, but that'll be entertainment in itself. That'll be more entertaining than the game. So that's awesome. Peyton and Eli Manning, that's definitely something to really look forward to. Josh, man, thank you very much. When can the Giants sign Evan Neal? Please, can we get Evan Neal, man? I'm hoping the Bears finish with one of the worst records if we could get that guy, because he would definitely help put this offensive line over the top. And I'm sure watching Slater yesterday didn't, for all the people that wanted him like me, didn't make us feel any warm and fuzzier. He had an unbelievable game. Didn't surrender a pressure against the Washington offensive line. That right tackle for back. Yeah, that's who it is. Evan Neal, Nick. I wonder if they'll call one of the Giants Monday night game. I call every Giants game. Oh, you're talking about Eli? Yeah, I mean, they're calling 10, so I would imagine they're going to call at least one of them. Predictions for Thursday. You know I want to say the Giants are going to win. But Jake, I mean, it's a must-win game for both. I understand people say it's a must-win game for both teams. I'm not going to go as far to say it's a must-win, because when I say must-win, that means the season's over if they don't win. I don't think the season's over at 0-2, but I think it's in jeopardy. But I picked us to lose that game at the start of the year. I said we were going to split with Washington. We were going to lose in Washington. We were going to win when they played at home. Do I think we can win? Absolutely. Absolutely. But for people that point to Taylor Heineke and say, well, you can't lose, it's a backup quarterback. You talk to a lot of Washington fans, they'll tell you he's an upgrade over Fitzpatrick. So I don't know how I'd be lying to you guys. I don't know how I could predict them to lose that game before the year starts. And then based off their week one performance, tell you that I think we're going to beat them. Do I think we can beat them? Yes. Do I think it'll be a much closer game than week one? Yes. And if the defense shows up, we could absolutely win that football game. If we could run the football and create some turnovers, would I be shocked if we win? Absolutely not. But based off the fact preseason, I picked Washington to win that game. And based off the fact of our week one performance, I'm going to go with Washington. I want to pick the Giants, but I'm going to go with Washington I'll say by 3 or 4 points. I think it'll be close. Thursday Night Football, the home team has an even bigger advantage. It's just as big of a game for them as it is for us. I'm going to go with Washington. I think we'll play much better, but I'm going to go with Washington. Tana, watch Carson. And by the way, I picked us to win week one, so hopefully I'm wrong again. I thought we'd beat Denver. We didn't. So I hope maybe if I pick us to lose this week, I'm going to pick us to lose every week if we win. So hopefully I'm wrong. I could easily be wrong. Heineke played. He had 3 drives that did well on all of them. Yeah, again, I didn't get to watch the game, but I know he had like 130 QB rating and like 120 yards and I think a touchdown. I feel like the team plays better on the road. It's true. I mean, historically speaking, they do. Christopher says, anyone consider that, at least recently anyway, I don't know about historically, but, since I've been watching the team over the last 10 to 15 years, it does seem like they play better on the road. Chris Viewing said, anyone consider that we just got beat by a better team? Yeah, I think we did. At least right now, for sure, they're a better team. We have to hope as Giants fans that this team grows throughout the year with all the new pieces and the young players and they progress and get better. But yeah, week one, they were clearly a much better team and they have more talent. No denying it based off what we saw. How could you say otherwise? Kenny G said all good for Thursday. Yeah, well, I expect Kenny G to play. Chino, I'll say yes and no at the same time because if you look at the Giants' wins in recent history, we've beaten a lot of backup quarterbacks. Last year, I think we beat the Burrowless Bengals. We beat the Dakless Cowboys. We beat the Wentzless Eagles, I think. I think it was Hurts. Maybe it was once. I can't remember. And Washington had like a backup quarterback all year, and we beat them twice. So when Giants fans hit reality week one, Chickarigo says, let's see what we got here. Not Nick Mullins. That's true. Yeah, Nick Mullins destroyed us. It was once. Okay. Did BJL really have 2 sacks? He did. He did. One game I know, but all that hype for an embarrassing L. Call me crazy, but believe the Cowboys taking the division. I don't think you're crazy for thinking that. Most people thought that going into the year. Most people would agree with you that the Cowboys could take this division. So I don't think you're crazy, man. It is only one game, and I understand the letdown. We went into this offseason with much higher expectations and hope based off the things that the New York Giants did in the offseason. And the most discouraging thing for me is, and I said in my live stream yesterday, the thing that I was worried about the most was not the reason we lost the game. The thing that I can hang my hat on and say, yeah, the defense, they're going to show up. They'll keep us in this game. The offensive line is going to be the reason we lose, if anything. Well, that was not the case. The offensive line, at least in terms of pass blocking, was adequate. The defense was god-awful. And that, to me, was the most concerning thing about week one. Tana, the pass, yeah, I know it did. The run blocking did not, but the pass protection certainly did. You could DM me the video. Sure, Carlos. Yeah, man. So, I don't even remember what my Instagram is off the top of my head. But it's going to be like Entertainer or I don't even know. But I'm on Instagram. I don't remember what my name is off the top of my head. I do have a Twitter, too. If you're on Twitter. I think it's at DA Entertainer 85 on Twitter. I use Twitter a lot more than I use Instagram. If we get 2 top picks in 2022, do we clean house? Yeah, probably, because that would mean we had a bad year. Yeah, Mary, I'm completely with you. The run blocking, and when you're calling the game and watching the game, that's why I always try to watch it a second time. You don't really get to truly analyze the run blocking. When I went back, Mary, and I watched the game for a second time, the run blocking, I don't know how. I think Nikki said it. PFF had us ranked as the 13th best team in terms of run blocking. I don't know how in the world that's the case because the run blocking sucked yesterday from my vantage point. It was bad. Which, again, if anything, you would have thought that the offensive line would have done a decent job run blocking because they were pretty good in that aspect last year. The pass protecting, they were good, especially as the game wore along. The pass protection was good. Let's see. Oh, okay. There you go. That's my Instagram. Entertainer. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Chris. Barkley's garbage. We don't give Jones an excuse for poor O-line play. I mean, I understand that Barkley didn't look good week one. I know that there's going to be a lot of fans that don't like the guy. I can't come completely down on Saquon Barkley coming off that injury. I knew he wasn't going to be vintage Saquon Barkley week one. And again, you're entitled to your opinion. And if he does not improve throughout the year, I understand where you're coming from. I didn't expect Saquon Barkley to look like vintage Saquon Barkley week one. And I just think anybody that thought that going in just not being fair. And Mark, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, I told you and Dog when you said he had a top 5 secondary that they haven't even played together. And you said I was wrong. No pass rush equals 0 wins. Hey, man, based off of week one, Mark, you're looking good. The secondary sucked. And the pass rush wasn't getting there. When we blitzed, it was getting picked up. Like I said throughout the stream, defensively, the one area where I thought was pretty good was the interior pressure. I thought the defensive line was flushing Bridgewater out of the pocket a lot. We were getting pressure up the middle. Sometimes our blitzes were getting home, but Bridgewater was just finding ways to extend plays. But in terms of our exterior pressure, it wasn't there. It wasn't there all game. The only sack from an outside linebacker, I think, was Ojulari, and that was a coverage sack. And if we can't get after the quarterback, especially when you send extra players, I don't care how good your secondary is, they're going to get picked apart. So you're absolutely right. I think at times maybe we were a little bit too aggressive based on the fact that we couldn't get to the quarterback. And Bridgewater did make some really nice plays. Aziz got there once, and he got the sack he got was a coverage sack, but he did get there another time where he should have had a sack, and Bridgewater kind of stiff-armed him to the ground. James, and that's kind of the way I'm hoping it. That's what I'm hoping, James. I am. That's what I'm hoping, and that I think Judge kind of warned about that going into the year. What I will say, James, though, I could understand an 0-2 start. I'm not going to be happy about it. I could understand it if things turn around real quick. But we cannot get off to our typical 1-5. We can't do it. If we start 0-2, we got to win a game that we don't expect to win, and this team has to start to turn the corner. You cannot start 1-5, 2-6. Can't happen. It's not like last year when we were rebuilding, and I said to myself, okay, we're going to have a really tough start. We're not going to the playoffs this year. We start 1-6, 1-7, and we turn it up the second half. I'm okay with that. That can't be the case this year. It can't be that long for this team to start to turn it around. They start 0-2, and then they beat the Falcons. You've got to either beat Dallas or you have to beat New Orleans, and you got to be 2-3 before that Rams game. That Rams game is going to be brutal. And then if you lose that, you got to find a way to beat Carolina to get to 3-4. This team cannot fall to 1-5, 2-6. Can't happen. Can't happen. You're right. No, Jeff, you're absolutely right. And it's why it's why going into that game, Jeff, and he says, Chris, how many times did DJ Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay practice together at the same time during camp? Hard to imagine the Giants offensive line come out firing on all cylinders in the first game. And I warned, and I completely agree with you. And I warned about that a month leading up into the season because of those factors and because I saw the defenses we were going up against. And I said the only way this team is going to win week 1 and week 2, the defense is going to have to show up and they're going to have to play really good, and we're going to have to establish a ground game. We're going to have to beat teams the way that we beat Seattle the first 2 weeks. And we did none of that. The defense played horrible, and the run blocking was atrocious. And if that is the same thing against Washington, Jeff, we're going to start 0-2 because the offense is not going to be clicking on all cylinders. to start the year because of some of the factors you said and because of some of the defenses we're going up against. And if this team comes out with the same effort on defense and the run blocking, we're going to be 0-2. I'll tell you that right now. And hopefully that won't be the case. Pete, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, obviously, if they turn this around and DJ plays well, he probably gets extended. Yeah, I don't think he'll get extended this year almost under any circumstance, Pete, even if he has a good year. The only way I see DJ getting extended, he'd have to have like a Josh Allen type jump, which I don't expect. I do think it's possible he could have a jump and improve. I don't think he'd get extended, though. I think the Giants would let him play it out on the fourth year and see where it goes from there. Maybe Barkley gets extended also. But if the team truly sucks, should shopping Barkley be a huge priority? 100%. And I'm a huge Saquon Barkley guy. I love Saquon Barkley to death. If you're going to rebuild, you blow it up. You trade your best assets and you get draft capital and you start from scratch. If this team completely sucks and you're bringing in a new GM and he's coming with a new philosophy, you got to restart the rebuild. And most GMs, if we're being honest, are not going to look to pay a running back top tier money when a team is coming off 4 or 5 wins, if that's the case, which we're all praying it's not. Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. And I hope not. I love Saquon Barkley to death. I want him to be a New York Giant for life. But if you're going to blow it up, you got to blow it up, man. And I hope that it doesn't come to that. Let's see. And Mark, man, thank you very much. What vintage Barkley are you talking about? Barkley sucked before the injury. A good running back runs downhill, not dancing around. I disagree with that. I don't. Saquon Barkley led the league in scrimmage yards in 2018 behind a bad offensive line. He had the most scrimmage yards in football in his rookie year. The guy that led the league in 40-yard plays combined between 2018 and 2019. To say Saquon Barkley sucked is just not telling the truth. 2019, he got hurt. He had a high ankle sprain. And you saw him explode in that Washington game as he started to get more and more healthy throughout the year. Saquon Barkley's still a damn good player. He just hasn't been able to remain healthy. And last year he didn't play. He got hurt all year. So I do think Saquon Barkley's a good football player. Pete, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, if Thomas showed us what he really is, that's a huge win. If he's a legit high-quality left tackle, we're set up for protecting DJ for our future quarterback. Yeah, Pete, that to me was the biggest positive that came out of yesterday. That to me was the biggest positive was Andrew Thomas's tackle play. That's huge. Because when I obviously you think also from within the season, you want to see positivity, and we want this team to win a Super Bowl every year as fans. But the most important players that I need to see growth from this year are guys that could potentially be part of this team for the next 10 to 15 years. And when you think about that, that's the quarterback and that's the left tackle. And to see Andrew Thomas have as good of a start to the year as he did, based off the worries that we had in that New England game in the preseason, the way he looked was encouraging. We need to continue to see it, but he got off to a really good start, and that was a big plus to take out of this game. It was one of the only pluses to take out of this game, but it was certainly a big plus to take out of the game, Pete. True, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. You're the saving grace of the Giants community. I don't know about that. Obviously, a lot of Giants fans aren't going to always agree with my opinion. I just try to be as balanced as I can and try to give you guys my honest opinion. I try to remain level-headed. I try not to be overly emotional. Sometimes I'm going to be. But I appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much. Gettleman Mortgage let's see. DJ is average after 3 years. He's not a playmaker. He's safe and is smart, but not a playmaker. That makes great plays. I was his biggest fan going into the draft. So far, you're right. I mean, I can't say you're wrong. I mean, how could anybody watch that game yesterday and see what Bridgewater did when plays broke down and see the plays that he made, even though, like you said, he didn't make a lot of mistakes, but he made a couple of big plays, and a lot of fans will attribute that to Garrett. And we'll find, I guess, hopefully we find out throughout the year. That's all I could say. We got to see more. Got to see more. If we do rebuild, do you agree with getting a transition quarterback? Yeah, somebody brought that up earlier, Cole. And I don't even want, hopefully this year it doesn't come to that. But it depends on how I feel about the quarterbacks in the draft if I'm the GM. Like if I feel a quarterback could be a top 5, potentially a top 5 talent, I go after the quarterback in the draft. If not, maybe you go the transition route. First game, guys, will we get better? I agree we're going to get better. The question is, will it be good enough? Meek Roll says the scheme is not magically going to change. Most games, we don't even crack 20 points. This team will be garbage until the play caller is fired. Well, hopefully we fire him then. Travis, man, thank you very much. I think DJ will be good, and Shepard looked good. Shepard looked really good. Shepard was the best player on our offense, outside of maybe Andrew Thomas. But in terms of the skill position, it was undeniably Sterling Shepard. He was incredible yesterday, and he looked great in preseason. And I'm excited to see Shepard this year. I think Galladay is going to help him as well, being that now he can play pretty much mainly in the middle of the field, which is where he excels. Yeah, Shepard looked fantastic. We'll see about Jones. Jones definitely had some positives yesterday, but also had a couple of negatives. Did Carter and Jimenez even play much? I didn't. You know what? I said I didn't have the snap counts, but I actually do. So let me take a look. I forgot. I took a snapshot of it earlier today. I think I have it. I have the snap. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So you're asking about Jimenez. Okay. So here was the. Let's go over the offensive and defensive breakdown in terms of snap percentage. I'll do all the players right now. Andrew Thomas played 100% of the snaps, 61 offensive snaps. Gates played 100%. Will Hernandez played 100%, and of course Daniel Jones played 100%. Sterling Shepard played 95%. Kenny Galladay played 85%. Kyle Rudolph played 77%. Bredesen played 72%, even though he didn't start. So that is definitely leaning that he's trending towards being the starter. Nate Solder played 70%. Darius Slayton played 70%. Caden Smith played 48%. Saquon Barkley played 48%. Booker played 39%. Matt Peart played 31%. So he got the 30% that Solder didn't get. Lemieux only played 28%. And then Gary Brightwell in cleanup time played 13% and so on and so forth. Defensively, James Bradbury played 100%. Blake Martinez played 100%. Adoree Jackson played 95%. McKinney played 95%. Logan Ryan played 92%. Lorenzo Carter played 88%. Leonard Williams played 77%. Dexter Lawrence played 64%. Ojulari played 52%. Austin Johnson played 50%. Peppers only played 45% of the snaps. Probably a big reason being that he was getting cooked in coverage. O'Shane Jimenez played 44%. Darnay Holmes played 42%. Reggie Ragland played 38%. Tate Crowder played 38%. Danny Shelton played 35%. Julian Love played 18%. So that was the defensive breakdown yesterday. And Kelsey says, you're not running anything without a good O-line. I don't care if you got Barry. I agree. Kelsey, you hit that on the – I mean, there was no holes yesterday. And, maybe a completely healthy Saquon Barkley could break a big run or two like he did in his rookie year, like he did – you remember that Jacksonville Jaguar game, Kelsey, when, his first game in the pros when we were going up against a similar defense, a very good defense. They went to the AFC Championship game the year before. He was stuck the entire game, but he had like one or two really big runs. But without good run blocking, you're not going to get consistent positive yardage on the ground. I completely agree with that. The run blocking in this game was horrible. Baldini, man, thank you very much. If Gettleman fails to do like Louis Riddick to be our new GM, I mean, I'll let them decide in terms of which GM they want to bring in. What I'll say about Riddick is, and if they, if whoever they bring in, I'm going to give a chance, and I'm going to let them carry out their philosophy and hope that it goes right, and we'll figure it out along the way in terms of whether or not we agree with some of the decisions that they make. But what I'll say about Louis Riddick, Baldini, just based on some of the things that he said in the past in terms of some of the players that he was in favor of taking, I think he would have failed too with the situation that was presented, right? He was a big proponent of drafting Dwayne Haskins. I think we all agree Dwayne Haskins would not have succeeded with the New York Giants. It's not like the Giants had a great circumstance either for him to step into. He failed miserably with the Washington football team. He was a big proponent of drafting Isaiah Simmons. Maybe Simmons will turn out to be a good linebacker in the NFL. But if we didn't draft Andrew Thomas, what the hell would our offensive line look like right now? So, and he said he was completely in favor of drafting Saquon Barkley. So he was in agreement with Dave Gettleman with that pick. So my answer to you is I don't think Louis Riddick would have done much better of a job. And he said that he would have re-signed what's his name? Landon Collins. He said he would have re-signed Landon Collins and given him a big contract. Washington was thinking about cutting him this year. So I don't know. It's not like Louis Riddick, I think, would have done such a great job with this New York Giants football team. And I know a lot of New York Giants fans liked Louis Riddick and they wanted to hire Louis Riddick, and he was part of the hiring process. Him and Gettleman were, I guess, neck and neck for the job. And we decided to go with Gettleman. If they hire Riddick, of course I'm going to give him a chance, just like I would give any GM a chance. But would I be extremely confident? No, I wouldn't. Let's see what we got here. Chris, I feel our biggest problem is the fact that we don't know how to win. We could sign every player under the sun, but we don't know how to capitalize on opportunities. That's certainly part of it. I mean, when you have a bad team for so long and you're not used to winning, I'm sure that's certainly part of it. I never my thought process as a fan is I'm never one to think that it is just one element. I don't, there's a lot of fans think it's just Garrett. I don't think it's just Garrett. I think there's a lot more blame. I think Garrett's part of it. I think Jones is part of it. I think Judge is part of it. I think wherever there's a problem, I think there's multiple people that are a part of the problem. So that's just my opinion. Pete, man, thank you very much. If we are loaded with capital in the next draft, but there isn't a great quarterback, do you think aggressively trading back is the name of the game? It depends on where we're picking. It depends on what the proposed trade is in terms of value. It depends on how, like this year, Pete, if I could play Monday morning GM and I like the trade when we made it in terms of the value, I thought we got great value. But this year, based on what we needed, if I go back in time, I would have said, Dave Gettleman, take Rashawn Slater. We need an offensive lineman. So it's very hard for me to tell you based on the circumstance, based on what players are going to be there when we're picking, whether or not I think trading down is the best option. However, what I will say is if they're not in love with a quarterback prospect in next year's draft and there is a good trade down opportunity that presents itself and we could drop from, say, 3 to 7 and get more future draft capital, the reason it makes so much sense, especially if you feel like you get a player you really like at 7, is it gives you more ammunition to move up and get said quarterback when the draft comes along, that you have that quarterback that you're in love with, kind of like the Giants did when they got Eli Manning in 2004. They made sure they went up and got their man. So if they're not in love with a quarterback this year, does it make sense to trade down if the right opportunity is there? Yeah, because it gives you that future draft capital when the quarterback comes along that you want to make that move and jump up and get him. Let's see what we got. NFL Experts, man, thank you very much. I already had an 87 Shep jersey. I just got his 3. He earned it yesterday, man. And I the 3's growing on me. The single digits when I was calling the initial game for the Cowboys, didn't love it with Leonard Fournette with the 7, but the 3 with Shepard was growing on me. It looked good on him. You sent me the video? All right. Maybe, I don't know if it's through notifications or message. You sent me a video. Okay. All right. I'll take a look after, man. I'm watching it right now, but it's hard for me to. I'll take a look after the stream, man. And Pete, man, thank you very much. Slater had a unanimous top 10 grade, but they didn't take him. Must mean they had some info or insight that he was severely overhyped. He was damn good week 1. I think what happened, Pete, was they believed in their young linemen, which I can't fault them. That's their evaluation. And we'll see. Those young linemen could still be good. We'll see throughout the course of the season. How Andrew Thomas progresses, how Matt Parrott progresses. I do think eventually he'll be inserted into the starting lineup. And I think they saw an opportunity where they felt that the value was too high to pass up. And they did get good value. They probably looked at the Bears team and they said, listen, they're going to trade up for a rookie quarterback. And normally rookie quarterback, you're going to struggle. They probably looked at the Bears schedule and they said, this is probably going to be a top 10 pick. And we're getting really good value here. Let's slide down to 20. We'll still get a good player. In terms of the value, you can't argue it. It was a good trade. You got a future first-round pick. I think they also got a third-round pick. I can't remember. But it was good value in terms of the trade. But I don't think they could have seen Slater and thought he was a bad prospect. I think that was pretty much unanimous. Most people thought he was the most pro-ready lineman. He was capable of playing every position on the line. He was versatile, the most technically skilled. Yeah, I thought Rashawn Slater was a slam dunk pick in terms of the offensive line. He was a pretty safe pick. Carlos, man, thank you very much. If I'm Gettleman, I'm trying to save my ass. I'm calling Seattle and offering both first-round picks to DJ for us. As a Giants fan, I'm torn on that. I don't see that happening. Seattle, they're looking to compete this year. They're looking to win a Super Bowl. And, it's always easy to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I want to get this quarterback. Teams aren't lining up to try to trade top 5 quarterbacks. The only way Russell Wilson would ever be traded from the Seattle Seahawks would be if he forced his way off the football team. If he said, I am not playing for you guys. You need to trade me. That is the only way he's ever going to get traded. Seattle's not going to be running. You could offer them 5 first-round picks. Russell Wilson, his value is he had 6 wins to that football team. 5-6 wins to that football team. He is that good. That team has not surrounded him with any talent. for the last 4 or 5 years in terms of the offense. The offensive line is dreadful. And Seattle is not looking to just trade away a quarterback like that. So I just don't see something like that happening, especially from within season. What about Watson? Watson's possible. He will be traded, I think. But the reason why I don't think he's possible with the Giants are a team that expresses culture. They don't want to bring in guys like him, right? This is a guy that was accused by so many women of doing what he did, and I get it. He's innocent till proven guilty. I personally don't foresee the Giants looking to go out and trade for a quarterback like that. That's just my opinion. I guess we'll see, next year if that becomes a possibility. Jatan, man, thank you very much. Would you trade for Aaron Rodgers? I think we could get him for cheap. Then you draft the quarterback the next 2 or 3 years and sit under Aaron. Listen, man. If you, and I know he looked bad yesterday. If you watch my channel, I freaking love Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. If a trade was there and he wanted to come here, yeah, you have to think long and hard about it. Problem is, I don't think he wants to come here. And he's going to get to pick the team that he goes to. What is the drawing card for Aaron Rodgers to the New York Giants? What's the drawing card? What makes him want to come here? Like, if you take your Giants fan hat off. If you're Aaron Rodgers, think about all the teams around the league that would look to bring him in, and there's a lot of them. Why would he pick the Giants? What's the fit with Joe? I don't see the fit. Aaron Rodgers laid back. He ain't going to be running laps. And the offensive line is a major question mark. So what would draw Aaron Rodgers to come to the New York Giants over a team like Denver, a team that we saw yesterday, over a team like potentially the Colts? I don't know, so I just I don't see the fit with the New York Giants. Yeah, nothing outside of an easy division. Yeah, that is a draw. Hey, man, listen, Wuggle, I would love if he came to the New York Giants. I'm just trying to speak realistically. I don't think we'd be his first choice. If I'm an older quarterback like him, I want to go to a team where I could really trust my offensive line. Fabian says, hey, let's talk positive stuff. What would be your game plan for Washington? My game plan for Washington, it's going to be nearly the same identical game plan I had going into the Denver game. And listen, we have to establish the run. And we got to stop the run. If we don't do that, we're not going to win. Because if Jones has to drop back and pass 40, 50 times against that pass rush, our offensive line is not going to hold up. We have to establish the run. We have to stop the run. And we can't turn the football over. We got to play fundamentally sound. If we do that, we got a chance. I do think we have got to try to stretch the field more than we did in that first game. We have got to attack Golladay more so early on in the game, try to create big plays, chunk plays. But if we don't establish the run, we ain't beating Washington. I'm telling you that right now. Period. And Levi, thank you very much. I hate that it seems like you won't give up on DJ. Oh, that you want to give up on DJ. I'm not there yet. But I'm going to be honest, man. And I said I'm going to be a man of my word. Here's what I'm going to say. I can't be fake. So I can't come on here and tell you guys that I'm in love with DJ and I think he's going to be the long-term answer because I don't know. I don't know. Okay? And based off of DJ's career, Daniel Jones has how many wins? Like, what does he have? 8 wins? He's 8-19, I think. And all of his wins, and it's not all his fault. He's had a horrible team. I understand that. And it's why this year I want to give him a fair chance of evaluation. I want to see how he does with these weapons. And I'm not going to judge him based off one game. I'm not giving up on him yet. I'm not. But if he doesn't progress, yeah, I'm going to give up on him. He's got to improve this year. And he was not the primary reason why we lost yesterday. But he was also not part of the reason why we could have won. That's my take on Daniel Jones yesterday. He made some nice plays. He made some nice third down conversions. You didn't see him go above and beyond like Bridgewater. That's my take. He was pretty good outside of a couple of key mistakes. And one was a crucial mistake on the fumble. He's got to grow. He's got to get better. I'm not giving up on him yet, though. I'm gonna be a man of my word. I said before the year started, I need to see 5 or 6 games of Daniel Jones with these pieces before I could truly get a really good grasp on him and the offense. I'm not going to be a guy that says that and then after week 1 says Daniel Jones is done. It's done. No. I said 5 or 6 games before the year started, I need to see him with these pieces, and then I will start to come to my conclusion about whether or not I think Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback going forward. And Pete, man, thank you very much. How do you expect to establish the run with no run blocking? It's got to be better. If we don't, we won't win. It's got to be better. The run blocking has to be much better. If we don't, we won't win. That period. If we can't establish a run, and maybe you have to switch up the play calling, maybe you need to try to stretch the field early on, try to throw the deep ball to, I guess, make the defense, more honest. And maybe they can't stack the box as much, and maybe that'll assist in the run blocking. Maybe it does come down to the play calling for Jason Garrett. But all I'm going to tell you, Pete, right now, if we can't establish that run and have a more balanced offense, we ain't winning. Yesterday, I think we had like 8 yards on the ground in the first half. That can't happen. It's got to be much better, man. It's got to be much better. I think our only hope is exposing Heineke. That as well. The defense for sure. We have to create turnovers, but we have got to be able to run the ball effectively. And Levi says we swept the Washington football team last year. Waited till Thursday. I think we could beat them. I definitely think we could beat them. I think it's gonna be a good game. I don't think we're gonna go there and get blown out. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think we're gonna have a chance to win. What's going on there, Delano, man? Thanks for popping in. Yes, you can use Saquon in the passing game. We tried to use him twice, I think. I think Saquon had 2 targets. He had the screen pass where he kind of got tripped up on his own feet, where I don't know how far that could have gone. He made one guy miss in the backfield. Maybe he would have got a couple more yards. And then we had another pass to him, I think in the red zone at like the 20, where he dropped it. It would have been like maybe a 5-yard gain, and he dropped it. But outside of that, we didn't really target Saquon too much in the passing game from what I remember. I'd like to see that more so this week as well. They got that's a great point, Wampback. They need to use Saquon more in the passing game. I completely agree with you on that. And I'd like to see Tony more involved in the passing game. Why not? He's a guy that could create big plays. So I'd like to see those 2 guys used a little bit more in the passing game. But for sure, Golladay. We're not bringing in a quarterback this year. Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback this year. Start to finish. Daniel, unless he gets hurt, which hopefully doesn't happen. But Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback this year. This is a year to evaluate Jones, and we'll find out what we got, and then we'll see what we got going forward. Barkley is not a natural receiver. He's got to be open in space. Maybe. Maybe. What I will say to that is Barkley had 91, 92 catches in his rookie year. I definitely think he's a guy that could be utilized in the passing game. If it's the right way, I definitely think he's a guy that can be utilized in the passing game. And it's not like that was a great offensive line. Tana, you should go out for the Max Kellerman opening. I doubt that would happen. Do you think it's early to say Jones is not the guy? I respect everybody's opinion, and I understand where people are coming from that feel that way. For me, it is, yes. For me, I think it's too early. That's just me. But if he doesn't progress this year, I will start to side with those people. Let's see what we got. That is why we should open up the passing game, give Jones a fair shot. I agree. I want to take more shots this week. Levi says, thank you very much. Barkley and Garrett, biggest keys to success, in my opinion. If Saquon Barkley does not get back to 2018 Saquon Barkley, and I don't think it's going to happen this week, I'm hoping it starts to happen by week 3, this offense will not be great. I'll tell you that right now. He's a huge key to this offense this year. We need him to get back to Saquon form. I don't expect it this week. I'm hoping by week 3, you start to see some more of that explosiveness. And we'll see. And in terms of the play calling, I understand where you're coming from with Garrett. What's going on? Garrett retiring is a big key to our success. He might. I mean, if you're Garrett at this point, I mean, if he looks at Twitter at all, he might say, you know what, guys, I'll take an early retirement. I'll get out of here, and maybe you guys could fix this. See, this is my thing, and I get what I completely get what you're saying, and this is not going to stop until Jones starts winning games, and he clearly has a turnover issue. But I laugh at this stat on Twitter because it's after every game that this gets posted. And yes, historically speaking, Daniel Jones has had turnover problems. He's also a young quarterback that can progress in that department. And if there is one area where he has gotten better, it is that one. Like yesterday, it was irrelevant to post that stat because he only had one turnover. One turnover in a game is not the end of the world for a quarterback. And his last 6 or 7 starts last year, he barely turned the ball over. And the only 3 turnovers that he had over the last 6 or 7 starts were not his fault. It was like off the hands of Evan Ingram. It was, I think it was a fumble and a handoff to Wayne Gallman that hit both of his hands. So I understand, historically speaking, his turnover numbers are absurd. His rookie, and that most of that goes back to his rookie year, where the turnovers were astronomical. I think he had like 11 lost fumbles, 23 total turnovers. 23 of those total turnovers came in his first 12 starts. Over his last 7 or 8 starts, that hasn't been his biggest problem. His biggest problem is he hasn't been able to put points on the board. I actually, you know what? And I've said it. I'm almost open. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted. I'm almost open to him having more turnovers this year if it means there's more big plays. I need him to take more shots down the field. If that results in some more picks, but we get a lot more touchdowns out of it, I'm open to that. I think the Giants, he's been playing too safe the last 8 or 9 games in his career. Pete, Matt, thank you very much. Chris, I got a pressure on this. Would you agree that if Daniel Jones became the guy, it would mean that he completely transforms into a different player? Wow. Yeah, I don't know if it, maybe not a completely different player, but a much improved player. The thing with Daniel Jones, and it's week to week, you see things from within the game where you're like, yes, he has the tools where he could be the guy. But in terms of his weaknesses, those need to get so much better in terms of the silly mistakes, not sliding, the way he reads the field, things like that has to get much better. In terms of his physical tools, do I think he could be an above average quarterback? And I've been consistent with this. I'm going to tell you this right now. I say all the time, he will never be a top 5 quarterback. And that's okay. If he's a top 10 quarterback, you could win with that. I don't ever think he has the upside of being a top 5 quarterback. And that's most quarterbacks. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that I think could be top 5 quarterbacks. I never think he could be that. So I'll say that. But he needs to get much better in a lot of areas. Mark, man, thank you very much. I wish we kept Shermer as OC. Jones has regressed. We drafted Shermer specifically for Daniel Jones. So I get where you're going with that. Pete says, meaning it's not like you could say he's close or that he looks like he's one or 2 adjustments away. He looks completely average at best. He's never going to be a top 5 quarterback. I knew that when we drafted him. I knew that when we drafted him. He doesn't have that kind of upside. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I look like a complete fool and Giants fans could go back and say, Chris, you were dead wrong. You're a moron. Daniel Jones, one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. I don't see that kind of upside with Daniel Jones. Never did. I'm hoping he could evolve into a top 10 quarterback. That's what I'm hoping. And we'll get more of an answer this year. And Sweaty says, thank you very much. Jones just doesn't have that swag, no desire. I think there's desire. I don't agree with that because I don't think you can, like, people used to say that about Eli Manning. People used to say, oh, he's got that all shucks attitude. Eli Manning, he can't make it in New York. He don't got that attitude to be that leader. So I disagree with that. I do think he's a competitor. I do think he works hard. I do think he wants to be great. The question is, can he put it together? But I in terms of like somebody's personality, I don't read into that when it comes to a quarterback because people said the same thing about Eli Manning. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. You could say whatever you want about him. The guy won 2 Super Bowls. And he was responsible. He was definitely a big reason why. He was the quarterback. Say what you want about the defense. He was the quarterback. He played the most important position. Say whatever the hell you want about him. He was a big part of it in the Super Bowl run. And I warned this when I first came on YouTube for everybody that was saying, so far he's not good, MYB. That is the truth. He's not good. He's not good. Okay, we can win with Jones. I hope we can. Daniel Jones is nowhere near Eli Manning. I'm going to tell you that right now, up to this point in time. Maybe from like a physical attribute skill set, sure. Eli Manning, when it came down to the 2-minute warning in situational football, put the team on his back. Daniel Jones is yet to do that. You could say it for the Tampa Bay game, his debut start. Eli Manning was a great situational quarterback. And I said it since I've been on YouTube, for everybody that was rushing to get Eli Manning off the team and say, oh, we got to take a quarterback, get a quarterback. Don't rush so much. Sometimes you're going to be in quarterback hell. It's not easy to replace a quarterback like that. I think a lot of Giants fans took Eli Manning for granted. Pete, man, thank you very much. To me, his ceiling looks like 18 to 22. I think his ceiling's higher than that. I do think his ceiling's higher than that. Whether or not he'll reach it, that's another story. NFL, he's got the arm, but he doesn't have the instincts, vision, cold-blooded killer instinct, pocket feel. J-Man, ceiling and whether or not he can reach it are two different points of discussion. J-Man, thank you very much. I'm just happy Barkley played careful because, in my opinion, he looks good. I'm loving the footwork. I say give him a couple of games. Let him get the feel back. I think Barkley looked fine. He didn't look like his complete self, but like you said, he got a feel for the game. He stayed healthy. And I thought he ran hard. And I don't think he looked like he was scared out there. So I'm cool with Barkley week one. I don't expect him to be vintage Saquon Barkley, his first start back. And I think the Giants wanted to get his feet wet. And I would say by week 3, I'm hoping we start to see some of that explosiveness. Mike, man, thank you very much. Jason Garrett is the issue. I still think the Giants take the East. Jones not the problem. We'll see. Garrett, and we'll see. I hope. I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. And Mark, man, thank you very much. We're the only franchise that would draft 2 Duke quarterbacks. See, the school thing to me, I never care about the school. The school means nothing to me. You know, people often talk about there are so many great quarterbacks that come from obscure schools or schools that, you know, aren't known as powerhouses. The school means very little to me. I could just as easily say that that a big reason why they took Jones was because he came from the same exact quarterback coach that coached Eli Manning and coached Peyton Manning. And I know he went to Duke, but the school that a quarterback goes to, look at the guy that everybody wants to draft now. There's several Giants fans that want to draft Malik Willis, right? That you hear that now on Twitter and everywhere else. He's going to Liberty. So I honestly don't care what school a quarterback goes to. That's not how I evaluate them. As a matter of fact, I can make an argument when a quarterback goes to a great school, it's tougher to evaluate them because of the surrounding talent around them. You know, like Oklahoma, for example, I think it's very tough to evaluate Spencer Rattler because of the system he plays in. Wide receivers are running wide open every time he throws the football. What's going on, Tay Davis, man? Thanks for popping in. And Sticky Fingers, man, he says Eli is the 3rd greatest clutch quarterback in NFL history. He's up there. I mean, he's got, he had, I think 9 touchdowns and 1 pick, and he threw for the most yards in NFL history in a single playoff in 2011. And I want to say, I think he had like 15 touchdowns and 2 picks over those 2 Super Bowl runs, and they all came on the road. Got to take that into account as well. Going up against some of the best teams in football, he beat the undefeated Patriots. The defense didn't throw 15 touchdowns and 2 picks. He beat the undefeated Patriots. He beat the 15-1 Green Bay Packers. I mean, come on. Levi, thank you very much. You fans keep the same energy Wednesday. Let's go. Let's get a win, man. Let's get a win. And Richards, he says, just tune in. What's the deal with the big holes in the defense? Players are wide open every time. I think we got out game planned. I think we got out schemed. I think we got out coached. Pat Shurmur just came out with a great game plan. I think he showed you why he's one of the better offensive coordinators in the league. And our defense got embarrassed. I don't think there's any other explanation for it. I still think we're a good defense. I still think we'll rebound. But, you know, am I more concerned than I was about the defense going in? I'd be lying if I said otherwise. I mean, we just let Teddy Bridgewater march down the field left and right every time he got an opportunity. I think a lot of it had to do with the scheme and the coaching. And I think they out-game planned us for sure. I think we were out-coached for sure in that game on all levels. Our Patrick, nobody's talking about Patrick Graham because everybody loves Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham was great last year. Jason Garrett did a really bad job. Sure. Patrick Graham got destroyed yesterday by Pat Shurmur. Destroyed. We tried to be a more aggressive defense yesterday. Pat Shurmur was ahead of us every step of the way. Every time Graham tried to come with something, they were a step ahead of it. We got destroyed defensively yesterday, and I think we're out coached. I think that had a lot to do with it. Pip Nate Slickback, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says season not over, but if we do have to blow it up, I want an outsider. I want a GM from the Saints, Chiefs, or Niners, and only draft the quarterback with upside. I would agree with you. If we blow it up, I don't want to hire somebody from within. I agree with you. That would be my line of thinking as well. And I am a guy when it comes to the quarterback in the draft. If we have to do that, I would rather swing for the fences with a high upside, a high floor, low I'm sorry, a low floor, high ceiling guy. I'd rather go for that than somebody with a low floor. I'd go with the guy with more potential. Levi says everybody mostly agrees Garrett's the problem. Garrett's definitely part of it. Definitely a major part of the problem. We didn't draft Jones to fit in the Garrett's offense. He's not a good fit. I can't defend Garrett. I don't want to defend Garrett. I know he's public enemy number one by New York Giants fans. I just don't think he's the only problem, like some Giants fans make him out to be. I think there's more problems than just Jason Garrett. And I do think that Joe Judge needs some of the responsibility as well. For everybody that just pins the offense's lack of production on Garrett, you have to also pin some of it on Joe Judge. Joe Judge is part of that game plan. There's no denying it. So that I always like to say, if you can't just point the finger at just one person. Alvaro, man, thank you very much. DJ or Curtis Painter? DJ or Curtis Painter? I would hope DJ. I would hope DJ. What's going on, Alvaro, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. And Pete says, to quote Alex Wilson, Graham got his salad toy. Yes, he did. Graham got severely outcoached in that game. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. I know that Garrett's the pinata, rightfully so. Not a good offensive coordinator. Graham sucked yesterday. Sucked. And I love Patrick Graham. And I'm glad that he's here. But he got outcoached severely yesterday. And Pimp Name Slickback says, also, Jason Garrett isn't getting fired midseason, people. No, I could see him losing his play calling duties. I doubt he'd be fired, but I definitely could see him losing his play calling duties and then making changes to the offense from within the season. I'll say that. I doubt he'd be fired. Should the Giants try and get Cam Newton? No. Yeah, I've been asked that question a lot. No. Doesn't help. He's not going to. And I don't know what I said. James Ramon said pause. I don't know what I said. Levi says, does Garrett know we don't like him a lot? Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does. If Garrett has any part of social media, the other thing I will say, Levi, I've been a Giants fan religiously for, I don't know, about 25, 26 years. This fan base has never, outside of maybe McAdoo for a year, liked the offensive coordinator. McAdoo came in and he definitely revitalized Eli Manning's career. Even when we were winning Super Bowls, there were definitely some people like Gilbride. Most people did not like Kevin Gilbride. They called him Kevin Killdrive. So the offensive coordinator has always historically been public enemy number one for New York Giants fans. But so Jason Garrett should have known that coming in. You're not going to be very well liked more often than not. And Jay Gordon, man, thank you very much. We need to let the offensive assistant from LSU call plays. I'm sure he's involved in the offensive game plan, and he may be the future successor to Jason Garrett. That's very possible. Yeah, we have Freddie Kitchens. Yeah, I personally didn't hate Gilbride. His offense was a big play offense. His offensive philosophy. He was actually part of the Oilers with Warren Moon. He brought that offense over to the New York Giants. It was a big play offense, and it kind of gave the wide receivers and the quarterbacks, they had to be on the same page. It was a more high risk, high reward type offense. But obviously in 2011, when it clicked, it was beautiful. Yeah, Kevin Killdrive, that was his name. Yep. Can you check Twitter, please, in DMs? I sent a pic of our awful blocking. I think somebody else sent me this pic, so I'm sure. Oh, here we go. Oh, listen, there was a couple of plays where we got completely destroyed, and this is one of them. I guess this is Nate Solder here on this play. But yeah, listen, man, there's gonna be individual plays where the pass blocking was bad. But overall yesterday, I thought the pass blocking was as good as I could have hoped for going into the game. I'm not saying it was incredible, but going against that pass rush, even though I know Chubb was out of the game and how bad our offensive line looked in the preseason, and I thought they held up pretty well on some of the nice drives that we had. I thought they pass protected pretty well. Of course, they had instances where they were bad. Can we do a GoFundMe for a snap count sign for Barrett? Levi says, what about you or Bad Dog at quarterback? No, you couldn't pay me enough to be the quarterback for the Giants. Eli Manning got torn to shreds even a year after he won a Super Bowl. And with that offensive line, now you couldn't pay me enough to be the Giants quarterback. What's up there, Diehard Yankees fan, man? Thanks for popping in. Gilbride had explosive plays. It keeps defense off balance. When he mixed in the shotgun draw, it was excellent. Yeah, Terrell, it was kind of one of those offenses like when it was working, it was beautiful. And in 2011, it all clicked. And when it didn't work, it was disgusting. Where McAdoo's offense was kind of the exact opposite. But I thought the McAdoo offense was a good fit because it kind of masked how bad our defense was. McAdoo's offense was all about just getting the ball out quick. So the Giants just said, well, we can't fix the offensive line, so let's just bring in an offensive coordinator that could get the ball out within 2 or 3 seconds. And it helped Eli's stats. It helped his completion percentage. But it never really, to me, it never really fit Eli Manning's strengths. Eli Manning, when he was at his best, the Gilbride offense fit it much better. He was deep balls, man. He threw a very good deep ball. I thought Gilbride's offense fit his skill set. Sebastian, man, thank you very much. Our defense is bad against multiple quarterbacks. It always has been, and tight ends, which is why I worried so much about Noah Fant in this game going into the game. Yeah. Jason says the Cowboys sent Jason Garrett as a sleeper agent. Brandon Walsh says, seems like we fight for yards every play. Nobody is ever open, and every throw is risky. The scheme is simply anemic. I agree with you, man. I watched the game back today, and sure, are there a couple of plays here and there that I like? Yeah, but overall, it is. It's what you guys always say on Twitter. It's the same thing. It's 8-yard curl routes, and maybe some of that is due to the fact that they don't trust the offensive line enough to be able to try to open it up, but they need to. And if Jones gets sacked, he gets sacked. You need to take more shots down the field. You can't be as, like you said, anemic as it's been. It is definitely very conservative. Jova says, and very predictable. Jova says, bye, Dave G. Hello, Jimmy G. It's possible. That's the guy. That's the guy I've been saying. In terms of being a stopgap guy that I could see. I hope not. And I hope it's hello Daniel Jones for the next 10 years and he's the next Eli Manning. Louis, man, thank you very much. DJ is a huge part of the problem. Dude has the ball in his hand every single play. He's a turnover machine. Give him a Butterfingers commercial. There's no way that you could completely exclude Daniel Jones as being part of the problem. He's the quarterback. He's part of the problem. He's part of the problem. A good quarterback finds ways to win games more than he has. He hasn't beaten a team with a winning record. Got to be fair. He is part of the problem. And we need him to get better. And if he doesn't, we're going to have a new quarterback. Richards, man, thank you very much. Can we panic and put in for Nick Foles or Cam Newton? No, not going to happen. This year going in, we knew it was going to be a year where we're going to evaluate Daniel Jones. Nick Foles or Cam Newton are not going to be part of the long-term solution. I, as a fan, and maybe you disagree, would rather find out what we have and put it to rest. Find out what we have with Daniel Jones this year. See what we got. If he takes a big jump, we keep pushing forward. If he doesn't, then we look for the future of this football team. That's what I want this year. Bringing in a guy like Nick Foles does not help that. Bringing in a guy like Cam Newton does not help that. Nick Foles is not going to win us very many games. Cam Newton is not going to win us very many games. That's my mindset. The game came down to 2 drives, the last one of the half. And where the game turned, Raphael, where the game turned for me was we're up 7-3. They're moving down the field. They're chewing up the clock. And they have a momentum-shifting turnover. And at that point, you're like, holy crap, 7-3. We're going to go into the half with the lead. Huge play by the defense. In the back of my head, I'm like, we have to create turnovers to win this game. Yeah, we haven't been running the ball effectively, but maybe we win this by 2 or 3 turnovers and we find a way to win this game. Because obviously we knew the offense, even though the stats are like they've only given up 3 points, the defense was getting killed. I mean, they were getting third, getting blah, 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 blah. But they get a fortunate turnover. Logan Ryan makes a great play. And then the 3 and out, obviously not good. But then it's the defense's job at that point. I don't care if you're gassed, and they are the main reason why they were gassed. I'm not going to put the majority of that on the offense. I'm going to put it on the defense because they couldn't get off the field. The first drive was 9 minutes. 8 minutes. They couldn't get off the field. They couldn't stop third downs. When they have the ball at midfield and you have as strong as a defense as you're supposed to have, and there's 48 seconds left, you can't give up a touchdown. And not only did they give up the touchdown there, then they give up the long drive to come out of the half. And when that happened, it was lights out. We weren't coming back. We weren't winning that game. Let's see. And Adam, thank you very much. You still up? Yeah, I'm actually going to close that out in a minute because I'm going to have dinner at 6. I didn't realize what time it was. But yeah, I always like coming on here, talking to you guys. I'm going to do this after every game and hopefully next week on Friday. And I'm going to go live after the game as well to give my initial thoughts and then kind of let everything seep in and kind of do more so of a therapy session and not a panic or an extreme celebratory stream, which will be after the game on Thursday, which I'll probably do for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I'm going to do this after every game going forward. I just feel like it's more productive getting to talk with you guys and share my opinions, take some of your opinions, and Try to get through this together, whether it's good or bad, throughout the year. But I'm going to do this after every game. I appreciate everybody who supports the channel and comes in, man. And Richard says, fan to fan, what happened to that shutdown secondary we once had compared to what we have now? I don't have an answer for you yesterday. I think what I will say yesterday is I think Patrick Graham, with all the new toys, tried to get more aggressive. I have to see the stats. I have to see what their blitz percentage was. It seemed to me like they blitzed a lot. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it seemed like to me. It seemed to me like they blitzed a lot and they were more aggressive, and their corners got beat. I mean, when they didn't have help. Like last year, they were more passive. They didn't blitz as much. They weren't ultra aggressive. And when they were in the first game, they got beat. So maybe Patrick Graham needs to think back and maybe change his philosophy a little bit and maybe not blitz quite as much, depending on opponent. But Pat Shermer came out with a great game plan. He completely outcoached us. He completely outprepared against us compared to Patrick Graham. Pat Shermer completely outgame planned us. So it's also the coaching. But yeah, I think we were aggressive and the coverage just didn't hold up. That's my only answer to you. Do I think the defense is going to be better? Yes. But it was not good week one. Jabril Peppers was very bad in coverage. And hopefully it gets better. Adoree Jackson too. I mean, Adoree Jackson got cooked on that one play. I don't know if it was a miscommunication with the safety, but where he got cooked over the top on that one, what should have been a 50-yard touchdown catch. Alien, what's going on? If DJ ultimately ends up not being the guy, is there any quarterback currently in the league that you could see being the future quarterback, or do we hit the draft again? I mean, realistically speaking, yeah, of course, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, the names people throw out there. I don't think that's realistic. I've said it, man. I've said that it's not what I want. He's not going to win us a Super Bowl. But as a stopgap option, realistically, I could see a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo for all the reasons I've said. I would sooner rather go to the draft route if they feel like there's a quarterback in the draft with high upside. And at the end of the season, if I feel like we're going to take a quarterback, I will look at the prospects and I'll give you my opinion on what prospects I think that they could look at. But I'll wait till the end of the season, really dive into that and hope that Daniel Jones progresses and gets better. Sticky fingers, man. Thank you very much. My week one problem pie chart. DJ 75%. Third down defense 20%. Garrett 4%. O-line 1%. A better quarterback could have helped our defense a lot, in my opinion. Listen, at the end of the day, the quarterback's the most important position. And I understand it. They're always going to get the brunt of the blame, and they're going to get the majority of the praise when the team wins or loses. So I would not go that far, just because I knew going in the circumstances, I knew the offense wasn't going to come out and be clicking on all cylinders, and we were going up against a great defense. I knew for us to win this game, the defense had to show up, and it had to. I'm not even saying it had to play miraculous, but it had to play much better than it did. So the quarterback's always going to get a lot of the blame, but for me, I would actually reverse it. I would say the defense was 70 to 75% of the blame to why we lost this game. That's just my opinion. But I understand fans that think it's DJ 75% because he's the quarterback. He's going to get the brunt of the responsibility. But just for this game individually, I would actually say about 75% of the blame should be put on the defense. And Big Simple, what's going on, man? Washington getting 23-20. We lit. What's going on, man? Looking forward to taking you guys. I'm actually going to be on, I think tomorrow, I'm going to be on Ed Oliver's channel. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Ed's a great guy. He's a Washington YouTuber. And we're going to talk about the game. So I think he said tomorrow. So I'm going to be on his channel. We're going to talk about the one-on-one matchup. Huge game for both of us. It's going to be at your stadium, FedEx Field. And we'll see who comes out the victor, man. It's going to be a tough game. You guys haven't beaten us in forever, but I respect your team. I think you got a good team. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried at all going into that game. You guys got a great pass rush. We'll see how we hold up. And we'll see how we do. We'll see how we respond. Tana, I went to the game and now I'm depressed. Sam, let's hope we can bounce back, man. Zone coverage left big holes for sure. But I do think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we couldn't get there with the blitz. And when you send 6 guys, and we were a good amount of the time, and they don't get there, bad things are going to happen. And he also made plays with his legs. He extended plays with his legs. He gave his receivers more time to get open. There's only so long you could ask these corners to cover these guys. So I'm not, by no means am I excusing the coverage or I'm sure there are times where they maybe should not have called zone coverage. But bottom line is I think the defense tried to be more aggressive in game one. And I agree with them. I would have been more aggressive going up against Teddy Bridgewater and what was perceived to be at best an average offense. I didn't even think it would be that going into the year. I thought they should be more aggressive, and maybe Adoree Jackson will get better throughout the year. Maybe the coverage will get better, but it didn't work. our aggressiveness did not work in this football game. But guys, let's hope we could bounce back. Let's hope we could take down the Washington football team. We got a quick turnover, and hopefully they make us forget, this sour taste that we have in our mouth after week 1. I came on here. I tried to be as honest as I possibly could. I can't paint a rosy picture when there's no roses to be painted. It was a bad week 1. A bad week 1. Were there some positives to take? There's always going to be some positives to take, but this is not a year where it's a rebuild. This is not a year where I'm going to take moral victories. When you go out and spend the money that we did, you're at home against a team that we all thought we had a decent chance to beat. Even if we would have lost, I expected a much better effort than that. We're going to need him to come forward with a much better defensive effort against Washington, and we're going to need DJ to make some plays. And we'll see if we can find a way to get a win and get to 1-1, and hopefully we have a fun football season. We need a bounce back week 2. We do, and hopefully we get it. I'm looking forward to the game, and hopefully the New York Giants respond and show us what they got week 2. But guys, thank you guys so much for being here, man. I appreciate all the support. Looking forward to talking more Giants football with you guys throughout the year. I'm sure I'll probably have a video up tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be something to talk about. And I'll probably be live Wednesday night before the game, as I'll be doing that every game, before the game, having you guys call in, having some Giant YouTubers on, doing a little bit of a roundtable, in which we'll, be discussing pretty much exclusively the Washington game. But thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate all the support. And as always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.